Real news. Honest and fun political talk weekly on the line 90.7 FM. Oh, yeah. Well, since Alex here is wearing his We Are All Alex Jones shirt, Don't Censor Me, I decided I'd wear my Halloween costume, which was Alex Jones himself. So I'm wearing that in studio with the famous Bill Clinton shirt that you can find at Infowars.com and a logo that was also on Infowars.com. I'm just wearing it for fun. So that's what we're going to be for the next few hours here. So what do you guys think about the upcoming guests? Do you have any thoughts you'd like to put out there?
Yeah, sounds good. Like what she's doing. We need more pro-Second Amendment people of all, gender, all two genders. Well, if they want to be multiple genders, I guess that's fine. It's on the pro-Second Amendment. I don't really care. I don't care if you're a robot and you're pro-Second Amendment. No one's taking my AR-15. Hear that? Beta. Francis? Do you ever see that guy? Like, how is he even running for president? Like, people will say Trump's unqualified. Like, look at this guy. Like, he's had, like, DUIs. Like, he can't even, like...
He almost killed someone.
Yeah, he can't... He probably wants to take away people's AR-15 because he's not allowed to own one. Because he's, like, actually that bad. Like, and he was in some sort of hacker group, like, talking about waxing his, like, buttocks and making
Sounds
all
hot.
these... Yeah, like, all this other just disgusting, like, stuff, like a hippie commune. Like, what is his qualifications? Like, he was a failed presidential candidate in Texas. Like, he is a loser. And, what good is he doing? He's honestly, like, I think it's actually good for our side when people like him, like, are honest and say, hey, we want to take your guns, the ones that you own, and we will take it with our guns.
Mm-hmm.
It'll get people into action. It'll raise that, testosterone of the right, because there's all this stuff going on with the NRA. We're like, oh, they're doing, and they are doing a bunch of shady stuff from what I understand. Like, and, they kind of cucked with a C, like a cuckold with the gun ban. Not the gun ban, the what was it? The bump stocks. Like, so maybe now they'll be like, hey, we need to unite. We need to stop letting them, push us around like little crybabies and actually, stand up for our rights. So, he's like, between him and Obama, they're very good, like, actual salesmen for AR-15s.
Yeah, they're gonna be the best poster child for selling AR-15s.
Like, listen, when I was 18 and like Obama and stuff, they're like pushing for this AR-15 ban. Like, like before that, I didn't really care for an AR-15 or an AK-47. But after that, the day I turned 18, I went down to a gun show and I was like, "Hit me up, Scotty." Beam me up, whatever.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Yeah, and I came out with an AR-15 because, Obama was such a good gun salesman. Thanks, Obama. He did give me a piece of crap. Like, I don't trust Palmetto State Armory anymore. They gave me a poopy gun.
Well, what's that? What's Palmetto?
And Palmetto, it's just a brand. It's, I'd call them like, what's it, like the Chrysler. No, they're
Chrysler
they're,
of
no, they're like
guns.
the poor man's. No, they're poor man's.
So they're like the Pontiac of guns.
No, Pontiac was good. They actually had good stuff.
Okay.
This would be
Hot
like
take.
Sean. What's the name of that? Like the Hugo. Like, no, they're not that cheap.
Yugo?
They're like the Hyundai. They're like the Hyundai of the gun
Kia.
market.
The Kia.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Well, I'd say Hyundai because they're kind of crappy, and they're for poor people. But I mean, usually I've heard good things, but the one I got must have been like a lemon. It just keeps like jamming up, and I brought to this gunsmith, and the dude, I don't know, I think maybe he was just a crappy gunsmith. Like, he was a nice guy, but like he had really bad diabetes, and his like foot was turning green. He just kept smoking like these blue cigarettes.
Ew.
Yeah, he had a bit of a problem, and I feel bad for him. His daughter was kind of doing some really stupid things. So I almost got her kid taken away.
Jesus.
She went to a party and she had pictures taken.
Oh.
And she was like had the baby in one hand, like a bottle of like vodka in the other.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she was.
Is she one of those people that shouldn't be having kids?
Yeah, and she had like two of them, and one of them they don't. Like, the guy claimed it as his own, but probably wasn't his. And then the guy ended up like dying in a car accident later, and then she's still doing those antics. I don't know. That's a
Yeah.
little tangent on that. But it was a funny story, kind of. Like, sad story. But the guy was all right, but he's just not a very good gunsmith. I would not recommend it. He was a good guy, though. You know, it's like a lot of people out there. You know, they'll be crappy at their job, but at least they're good people.
Yeah. I've known a bunch of people like that. It's unfortunate, but you know, and sometimes you'll in the business world, like, you can't be nice to those people, even though you want to be, and it feels bad, but you gotta put your foot down somewhere. Like, I had to fire somebody. He was a nice guy, but wasn't doing his job, and I had to fire him.
Yeah, you've taken lessons from Trump, I say.
You're fired.
You gotta do that. You know, there's a lot of incompetent people in this world. You gotta know when to hold them and know when to fold them. But like, you know, at least this guy, he used his own business. I'll give him that. And he kind of did one gun all right, but like, he should have just fixed it. Like, you could have found the dang part somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially nowadays, they have these 3D printers. I had this 22, and it was like some weird Remington, and I was an idiot, and I decided to go and clean it the day I got it, and like snapped this like little flange somewhere, and it like made it so I couldn't hold the magazine in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we had to like put a wooden block in there, and it took him forever, and it just very slow. But I mean, it works now, but it's a single shot. But you know, you could probably just buy the part off the internet. I don't know.
Do you have anything to add, Phil?
About
guns, firing people, our upcoming interview, anything?
well, I mean, I agree with y'all with the whole beta thing. Like, I can't believe he said that in public. That was just terrible. Like, why would you do it from his perspective? It's great for us, but it's terrible for them.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see? Did you see that picture of him on the that meme where he's like pee-peeing his pants on the internet?
Yeah. I saw it where he's peeing his own pants. What is the context of that? Was that like a prank, or did he just spill coffee on there? I'm being optimistic.
He's probably fighting the patriarchy or something.
Yeah. #resist.
Oof.
Why is he running for president?
I don't know.
Because it's a cool thing to do, man.
Yeah, man.
He wants to make his billionaire daddy proud.
Yeah.
By some reason that not George Bush, Jeb Bush ran.
Oh, poor Jeb.
Oh,
They talked him into it. I think there's some people that thought he had a chance, which is dumb. But I think there are people, I'm talking to DNC, by the way. And there's also, I think, people that told him, hey, if you run for president, you get your name out there more and you can do this and that, or maybe you'll get a cabinet position when the real nominee comes up. So I think that's really what was really going on.
yeah, he's pretty much like the Jeb Bush of the Democrats right now.
He is.
I don't know.
Is he as bad or is he worse, though?
Well, no, he's worse. Like, if you actually look at his personal life, I don't even know how he's electable. He's just vulgar. He's disgusting. You know, he's in this like hacker collective. You know, he's not presidential material. I don't know, it'd be like if Beavis or Butthead ran for president, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's just not a good candidate, man. Like, why?
Yeah.
I mean, who's that other girl, like, that the Democrats had? Like, the one who's on to crystals and stuff? Like,
Oh, Marianne.
yeah, she'd probably be better candidate than him. And then, like, honestly, like, Yang's probably one of them. Sadly, you know, he's probably more realistic than, like, half of these people. Biden's probably going to get the nod. I don't know, like him or Kamala.
Kamala.
Marianne reminds me of the weird, wacky aunt that, like, got rejected one too many times and now owns a crap load of cats.
Yeah, she's like a witch doctor cat lady.
Yeah, it's like one of those people that'll like tell you that vaccines cause autism, and then she'll probably like give you crystals to cure cancer, and then you end up like dying in a ditch somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know, like she's wacky, but she's like lighthearted.
She's kind of funny, and she actually makes some good points, and she's a good like troll candidate or a meme candidate. Like, people think Yang is the meme candidate. No, it should be Marianne.
Like, Yang, out of all of them, like, honestly, he's probably, if I had to choose a candidate, like a Democrat candidate, he'd probably be the best one right now because they're all just so terrible. Cause like, what was it, Kamala? What'd she do?
Kamala.
Yeah, she like slept.
Kamala.
Didn't she sleep her way to the top?
That's what I kind of heard. Yeah.
Yeah, like they found out like she was with like, what was it, Jerry Brown or something? There was I forget what the name of the guy
I forget
was.
the name too. Yeah, but she did kind of do some sleeping to get somewhere, and I could see it in her. She's a very politician, but I said for the longest time on the show that I think she'll be the nominee. I'm gonna still hold myself on that. I still think she will be. I think Biden's gonna slowly decline, and then those votes are gonna move over to her.
You know, Biden's probably like the Jeb Bush, if you think about it.
Yeah, he is. I think Jeb's worse, but Biden's going on that path.
Well, like the establishment, you know, sort of pick. But not even the establishment. Like, not even Obama will endorse him, and he ran with Obama. That's pretty sad.
Well, yeah, they're holding out now because they don't want to put all their bets on one person yet and then look like they were wrong or put, their money down the wrong guy. They're actually being smart to wait, I think.
Well, Kamala basically lied. Like, she was lying.
They all lie, don't they?
Well, yeah, but she was like flagrantly lying. Like when she was in, I think, the second debate with Biden, like saying how like her like class was bussed in when that was.
Oh yeah, she was talking about the busing. Yeah,
like she was just lying out her like rear end with that.
Well, the funny thing also is like everybody assumes she's black, but she's actually half Jamaican and then half native or half Indian.
Well, technically Obama was like half white, but he's still the first black president.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, I don't know, like, I just don't like. I don't like her. Like Tulsi Gabbard seems like she's not the craziest one out of there. Like, I think she might have a chance.
No chance.
Well,
she's too moderate, too centrist. She only looks good to a conservative audience, but to a liberal audience, she's like nothing.
Well, I think if they were smart, they'd probably go with her. But they're not. They're the Democrats, so I don't know how smart they're gonna be.
They're not.
And then like Kamala.
Yep. You want to finish your thought?
Well, yeah, Kamala owns guns too, so that would be a little bit funny with the Democrats. You know, they hate that.
Well, we are now joined by our guest for tonight. She is the CEO of Empowered and the co-host of Trigger Warning 2A, which is a nice little podcast on YouTube. Antonia Okafor is here with us. I hope I pronounced that right. How are you doing today, Antonia?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. Would you like to just sort of first give a whole rundown of what you do, what your organization's about, and all your political activities?
Oh, man. Yeah. I'll start out with, I guess, for those who don't know about me, I started getting into the Second Amendment scene. I would say I'm a gun rights activist in Texas in 2016 when I was a Southwest director for Students for Concealed Carry and helped with the successful passing and implementation of concealed carry on campus in Texas. So did that for a couple of years. Then I started doing stuff with NRA, did their Freedom Safest Place commercial that ran for about a year on Fox News, did some NRA commentator videos with them and spoke at their 2017 NRA Leadership Forum in Atlanta. And then I did a prayer video called Black, Female, Millennial, and Conservative that kind of blew up. And so I think probably most people know me for those things if they know me. But in general, I'm really passionate about the Second Amendment and in particularly bringing the message that the Second Amendment empowers women. Because what I saw a lot while I was in the concealed carry movement was that on campus is that, the left, the anti-gun side wants people to think that particularly young women, they really target them to make them think that women shouldn't have firearms and that's dangerous for them. But then particularly young women, right? Because college, that's where, a lot of women are exposed to quote unquote modern feminism. So I had the bright idea that, if feminism is really about empowering women, it's about, the right to choose, then why don't you have the right to choose how and where do you defend yourself? And if it's really about, autonomy over your own body, then why wouldn't you celebrate a woman who wants to, take safety into their own hands? So that's the kind of line of thinking that brought me to founding Empower 2 years ago, and really bringing a new face to the gun rights movement.
That's great. Because obviously you've accomplished a lot already. You're very young. You've already accomplished a lot, more than most activists out there have accomplished, which is really, really impressive. And at the same time, I think it's such a positive message to tell younger women on these colleges that come in believing there's this rape culture on campus. I've heard this in so many classes. There's a rape culture, that there are big scary men out there that are going to hurt you. But at the same time, we don't want you to defend yourselves with a gun. We just, we want to use Title IX as the best, mechanism to stop this, which I find silly. As much as I want to put all rapists in jail and face severe punishments, Title IX has been a disaster with harming men who've done nothing wrong. So the best solution, in my opinion, obviously yours too, is just literally empower women, give them the tools to defend themselves. They're not damsels in distress. They can actually do something to fix this. But as we saw in the Democrat debate the other night, Beto O'Rourke, I think he's not too fond of that idea. He wants to take your ARs. What do you think of that?
Yeah, hell yes, I'm gonna take your AR-15s and your AK-47s. I mean, a Texas guy. I think it's funny that he does say that, because it reminds me of Wendy Davis when Wendy Davis ran for governor a few years back. She was proud to be considered the quote unquote abortion Barbie. And she forgot that she's in Texas, where even the Democrats that are there are pro-life and pro-gun, and she lost she lost badly, worse than anybody could expect it. And so I'm looking at Beto, I'm like, just like, dude, you don't want the Texas vote, even if you were going to get it. You don't want that, because look, even the Democrats, they're pro-gun for the most part. Obviously the people who are in the party, who are in leadership, really push it, but it's a different type of breed of Democrat in Texas, much less the national, landscape. So I don't know. Yeah, I say, hell no, you're not taking my AR-15s.
Yeah.
You're not taking my AK-47s or whatever firearms I have. But yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, that's pretty interesting. PA's kind of like that too, because I've been around. I don't know if you've ever been to Pennsylvania, but there's actually a surprisingly large amount of pro-gun Democrats over here. I mean, certain places pro-life too, especially Pittsburgh. 'Cause there's a large Catholic population there, but I've seen that you're a pro-gun woman. Now, are you familiar with? There's another pro-gun activist woman that's been making the rounds on social media. Are you familiar with Caitlin Bennett, I believe, the Ohio State one?
Yeah, let's see. I'm trying to figure out the first time I actually spoke with her, but I think I might have actually did an interview with Liberty Hangout in my campus carry days, before she blew up. And then she talked about campus carry and stuff. And so I was like, completely on board because she was talking about it. Unfortunately, I think, as an activist, a lot of people kind of get it mixed up that, campus carry is concealed carry. For the most part, it's not open carry. It's not rifles. And I think that with the pictures that she was showing, that people there's a lot of misinformation there. But yeah, I know of her.
So do you think that style of activism is positive or negative for the gun movement as a whole, for the Second Amendment community, with that sort of in-your-face, carrying open carrying a rifle on campus sort of activism?
Yeah, I think for me, it's always about, if you're doing things for shock value, just for shock value's sake, obviously I'm not okay with that. For me, the most important thing, but I don't know the intentions. I don't know her intentions of why she did it. The biggest thing is that she was putting campus carry along with that. And so there was a lot of people who were then thinking, oh, campus carry, the movement must be about, open carry for one, because I would get that all the time. Even journalists who would just even like, as if I don't think they don't do that on purpose, but, people who you're supposed to think that they have an authority of, information or know more than the people would call campus carry open carry, or they would think it's a rifle where she was using a rifle in that picture versus where it's handgun, it's concealed carry. So that was the biggest thing, was just she was using the hashtag campus carry now. So I just remember, trying to put the information out there. That's not what the campus carry movement is, really pushing. But other than that, do what, I'm for the Second Amendment, and some people do it in different ways. And I'm not going to really judge. I just hope that people have the right information behind it. That's all I care about.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
That was a good response.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had here in Penn State a while back. We had a Second Amendment rally when David Hogg was speaking here. I'm sure you're a fan of David Hogg. So during that we had a couple of eccentric people interact with us. My question is, because you've been around the scene, not just in Texas, you've been around a bit. What's your I don't want to say crazy. What's your most extreme experience with the left? Or
most extreme, I would say, just on top of my head, it's funny, I think I don't know if I probably have to be, that is a defense mechanism, like a mechanism just to, or I get bogged down all the time of forgetting all these crazy stories that I have, and people remind me later and they're like, oh yeah, that was crazy. Otherwise I would just go mental. But probably the most egregious one is when I was supposed to speak at Hampshire College in Massachusetts. And literally 2 hours before I was supposed to speak, while leaving the hotel room, they emailed me and the student that, invited me, the group that invited me and everything, saying that I couldn't speak because, quote, my, quote, the Second Amendment is too controversial of a issue.
Oh my God.
So there was apparently people, they found out about it pretty close to the speech, and then they were calling teachers were calling administrators and saying, why are you letting someone from the NRA come over there? Why are you having this person speak on this? How dare she talk about female empowerment? That was the one that they really hated, that was about female empowerment and gun ownership. So much so the Hampshire College canceled my speech. They canceled it. In fact, the next day, the president of Hampshire College called me apologizing. He wasn't apologizing. He got in trouble. It became international news when he canceled it, so that's why he was calling me. But then Mount Holyoke, I was set to speak at Mount Holyoke, the all-girls college, right out the next day. We got a big following, or a big show, people coming in news and everything because of what happened the day before that. But they actually, in order to protest, quote unquote protest, they had a counter event at the exact same time of my speech. The title of mine was Female Empowerment and Gun Ownership, and theirs was Female Empowerment and Gun Violence, or something like that. It was just to obviously play on words to be against what I was talking about. But yeah, that was their protest. So yeah. That was a crazy, and that was 2-3 day span, because I was basically touring UMass, Amherst, all those schools in Massachusetts.
So it sounds like they were discriminating against a young black female.
Well, in their eyes, I'm not a black female, apparently, because I don't play to their identity politics. So yeah.
Well,
I don't see me as that.
Yeah, that's good, honestly, because I think identity politics is one of the silliest things ever. Like, have you ever gotten any blowback from the black community or the female community or anybody that sort of said, oh, why, what, because sometimes they'll use that whole, sort of mindset that, well, if you're a woman, you have to be this. If you're a black person, you have to be this. Have you ever gotten that any sort of blowback from friends or anyone?
Oh yeah, I mean, where did I begin? Man, I mean, I actually just posted one, which is funny. Okay, I want to say black community because this guy, and that's why I bring up the hypocrisy, particularly of white liberals, all the time. Because I was a Democrat. That's part of my story. I was a Democrat, voted for Obama twice. Like, it wasn't until 2015. Well, after 2012, really, but really 2015, when I became an advocate for concealed carry on campus and stuff. But and changed my views that I was voting on the right, or whatever you would say, on the liberty side. But so just a couple of days ago, someone put a comment, and it was a white guy, and he said, have they not traded you yet? Has the black community not traded you yet? Like, basically saying like you're, they need to do that soon. And then someone says, yeah, we're working on it. And it was just like, of course, like, you were going to use that language, something you would never say, right? A white liberal to a black liberal, right? They would never say that, because that's not fair game. But for a black conservative, then a white guy can be openly racist and say that I haven't been traded yet because you don't like of what I talk about. Like, that's the type of hypocrisy I saw. Even I started seeing while I was a Democrat, and realizing, like, this party that's pushes this narrative that if you're on the left, or if you're a Democrat, then therefore you can't ever be racist, and anybody who's not a Democrat is racist. Really, I mean, just shows the hypocrisy of those people who, I mean, just on things like that, or, the fact that if you don't believe in entitlements or welfare, then therefore, I've had people, I remember telling me, oh, you don't believe in welfare or entitlements? Like, that's completely racist. Like, what about all the black people that need it? Right. And it's always like some white person telling me that. Right.
Well, what you should do.
No, don't all need it.
What you should do to flip it back on them is tell them, well, how can I be racist? I'm black. I can't be racist, right? And they'll just like lose their minds. I mean, I've literally been taught that in classes. They said, if you are only whites in America can be racist. And I'm like, what? That's insane.
Yeah, I know it is. Yeah. And I get a lot of that because I just push back on that ridiculousness. It's the same. It really is the same. But a lot of people just buy into that narrative.
Well, now I heard that you mentioned that you voted for Obama twice, but now you're sort of like more on the right on certain issues. Where do you identify politically at this time? Do you consider yourself like libertarian or more Republican? What's your flavor?
Yeah, so I would say the liberty movement is what got me away from the left. It was like reading Anthem and Atlas Shrugged and like stuff like that. It was really the Rand Paul movement that brought me into, oh wow, maybe there are people who legitimately care about issues that, for Rand Paul, what really attracted me to his message is that it was actually a video of him talking to an HBCU school, a historically black college and university, for those who don't know about the acronym. But and he was talking about criminal justice reform, and he was talking about limited government. And so I really started on the libertarian side, but quickly I realized that I'm more of a small L libertarian, and I fit more into the Republican general political space, but haven't really gone full big L libertarians, but small L libertarian, which I'm taking the test, and it says that I'm a right-leaning libertarian. So, yeah.
Yeah, libertarian's a big umbrella with those. I've seen like all sorts of different shades of libertarians. So you get some people who are like, oh yeah, like they're almost like like the socially acceptable Republicans, all the way to like full on like ANCAP, pretty much. It's interesting how that goes,
50 Shades of Libertarianism.
It's true.
No, it is, honestly. Like, I mean, I could tell even you probably are more of a moderate libertarian, I guess you could say. Because you got some, like he said, they're full on ANCAP. Some are full on anarchists even. Like, it's a wide spectrum.
It really is. It really is. And I think there's an identity crisis with the Libertarian Party right now.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, right now, it's been happening since at least 2016, but unfortunately, they didn't get their act together before the election. So, I'm interested to see what's going to happen this coming election, 2020. But I don't know. I think there's a lot of hopeful people who, especially when Trump puts out, like, is in favor of things like bump stock bans and red flag laws and stuff like that. I think there are especially gun people who are hungry for a legitimate candidate outside of the Democratic or Republican Party, but they just haven't seen it yet. And they haven't seen someone who's actually pro-gun as well. So like in 2016, there are a lot of people who are wanting to vote Libertarian, but then they put Bill Weldon as their VP, who in Massachusetts actually implemented gun control. So that was
very libertarian position.
Right, exactly.
And now he's running against Trump. So, man, I mean, come on. He's got a chance, doesn't he?
Who was that other guy's running against Trump? The radio dude.
Oh, Joe Walsh.
He came to Penn State. No, that was funny. I was over here and I saw him, and he was like bragging about bringing his gun on campus. That was probably the only thing I could actually respect out of him. Like, have you seen his tweets where he was like saying like blatantly racist stuff when he calls Trump the racist one?
Oh, really?
Yeah, he said some pretty nasty stuff like back in the day. But yeah, no, like I don't know. I identify as Republican, but like
same.
I feel that like right now our political system, where was it first past the post, like in Europe, if we had a more European style like a political system where you could have like multiple parties, I think libertarians would do a lot better. But like. Right.
Not in our system of two parties.
No, it's just doesn't favor that.
Phil's got one more question, and then we'll close out and punch or plug, I should say, plug all the platforms where we can find you on. So, Phil, what's your final question?
Wow, put me on the spot like that. That's awesome. Thank you.
We know you can handle it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, still, you don't have to backdoor me like that. No, I'm just kidding. So Antonio, one of the things that got me into like following you and following what your message was actually the Vice video on Black conservatives.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, I mean, I felt like, so when I watched the video, obviously it felt like they were trying to paint Black conservatives. They were trying to act like they were defending, but it looked very negative.
Yeah.
Is that what you felt, or how did you see that?
Right. I'm really glad first that I did the Vice video, because I definitely was. When Vice reached out to me to do something, I was like, heck no, because Vice is known to be just like belligerent when it comes to being how horrible they are to us, to the conservatives. But I'm actually, maybe because my standards are so low, right? The bar was low, that I was pleasantly surprised. Now I feel like for the trained eye, maybe not even that trained, that the editing and the stuff that they were doing, it was more implicit type of stuff versus explicit of how they were trying to, like, there are certain scenes and editing stuff that they were doing that it was obvious, like they were trying to make it seem like I was just groveling for these white guys and like trying to do all this stuff for them. Like, it was obvious how they were trying to paint me, but a lot of people who saw through that are the ones who emailed me and have, messaged me and stuff like that, saying like, look, I know that we're trying to do to you, but I'm glad that you seem like one of the sane ones. So like, I'll take that. So yeah, it was an interesting experience. I'm glad I did it. I'm not very happy about the fact that it had to be that situation that I, did renounce him afterwards, and I have since. But I mean, everything happens for a reason, and I'm glad to at least be in a platform where people would probably never even know about me because they're not in the conservative space or the right space, right? They're in a space that if they didn't have that media, they wouldn't have known about me. So I'm glad that I had the opportunity.
Yeah, I saw it on YouTube because there's no way in heck I was watching it like actual Vice. I hear it was on HBO or something like that.
Right.
There's no way I was actually watching the genuine article. I was like, all right. I saw it because I do look at a lot of conservative videos on YouTube, and that was one of the ones that popped up. I'm like, oh wow, this Antonia, she seems awesome. And then so I started looking up a lot of the other stuff. I'm like, wow, this is she's got a pretty positive message there.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad I did that. And so
Yeah, I mean, honestly, conservatives, I think, should, as much as we hate the left-wing media, I've learned from my little experience dabbling with campus media and even NBC that, as long as you can back up what you say and you word things, good enough, you can still get your message out there without them doing too much destruction to what you said. But are there any last words you want to say? Any final thoughts? Anything you want to add? And any, of course, platforms you want to plug yourself on before you get banned, of course, by big tech?
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. So I do host, like you said earlier, I do co-host a YouTube show / podcast called Trigger Warning 2A. We do new episodes every Monday. So we're actually going to have Andrew Pollock Monday.
Nice.
He is the father of Meadow Pollock, who was deceased after Parkland. So he has a book coming out called Why Meadow Died, and it's really interesting to hear about what the failings of the school district. So. We're going to have him on Monday, and we actually had GOA President Eric Pratt last week as well. And then if people want to follow Empowered and join the Empowered movement, it's empowered2a.org, and we're empowered _2a on Twitter and Instagram.
Awesome. It's funny you mentioned those two particular names because we're actually looking in, we were actually just talking about getting the Gun Owners America guy on too, and talking to Mr. Pollock too. So we're all on the same wavelength here. Yeah.
It's actually a pretty good. I think that line of thinking makes sense, just because I'm interested to see what we're going to talk about on Monday. But I'm pretty sure he might be more for red flag laws.
Oh, interesting.
Then, just because of the nature of what happened and stuff like that. And I actually met him shortly after the shooting. I was a Sinclair contributor and met him in D.C. And met his wife as well. And they're great people, but I remember them talking about red flag laws. But I guess we'll find out Monday. But it really does go together because GOA is very anti-red flag laws. In Colorado, where I am right now, we talk about red flag laws all the time because they passed one here that's going to start in January. So the conversation is very pertinent to the state level, and so we've been talking a lot about it.
Great stuff. Again, we love the work you're doing. Again, follow her on all those platforms. Check her out on Twitter, everywhere, and definitely subscribe to her podcast. Thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate you spending your time with us, Antonia, and it was just a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much. You guys have a great night.
Thank you. You too. Good night.
Take care.
Bye.
That was a good discussion. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. That was great.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like that, those owners of America, they're like the NRA on steroids.
Yeah, literally.
I like them.
They're like the ultra libertarian gun group.
Well, they actually stand up for something. Well, not that the NRA doesn't stand up for something, but they will go and compromise, whereas the GOA actually gives a crap. They will not go and compromise on red flags or bump stock bans. And I appreciate that because the NRA, if you guys don't know, they, that the liberal media, they'll say oh, these people are super they're domestic terrorists, which I think San Francisco or something vote on. They're really not. They're the most vanilla like gun rights association. Like
They're not that edgy or scary.
no, like they've pushed for, like they've allowed like the they were fine with the bump stock ban. They were fine with the what was it, the Undetectable Gun Act or something that banned like guns that aren't detectable by what was it, the scanners, the metal scanners, which like honestly I don't even know what's the point of that law, because like if it's gonna be detectable by a scanner because the cartridges are made out of metal, the bullets are made out of metal, and you should have better ways to deal with that. Yeah, it's interesting. When she was talking about like Caitlin Bennett, like she's an interesting character. I'd like to go and get her on here.
We could arrange that.
Cause like I've heard different stuff. Like it kind of shows the difference between the two philosophies of concealed carry and open carry. Have you ever talked to those people? They like a lot of those people. They like hate each other because they're like, oh well, you're open carrying. You're just trying to make a statement. Blah blah
Be
blah.
provocative.
And then the open carriers are like, well, if it's a right that you don't exercise, the right, it's not a right at all. And I mean, I understand both those philosophies.
Yeah. What do you think, Phil?
I liked her as a person, like just a personality. She seems like she's genuinely passionate about like the Second Amendment. Like you notice how you talk to some people and they're just not, like, you could tell they're kind of scripted, they're kind of like unauthentic. Antonia seems like she is really, really passionate. I totally respect that.
Yeah.
I noticed that too. Like right away when I started talking to her, I could feel the passion coming out of every word.
Yeah. I also like on a side note, I do like GOA. I think they're a fantastic organization. Truth be told, when I first joined the military, every year, so in the military every year they ask you to give to the combined federal campaign, and they make you choose one, or they don't make you, but they're like, okay, you could choose one or more particular associations to donate to. And so I was given one of the booklets, and I saw GOA. I'm like, that's the one right there. So I filled it out, and I've been giving it to him, and I've been donating to him ever since. And I'll keep doing it because they're a fantastic organization.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know much about them, but for my taste, I think they're a little too extreme for me. But at the same time, I'd rather be a little more right than a little more left on anything. So, you
have to keep in mind, like, okay, so you have less. I mean, the NRA is a pretty good organization too. Don't get me wrong, but when you're advocating for something, you really have to be hardline. With something that's so negatively attacked, like the Second Amendment is on the left. Like you can't budge an inch. Like you're starting to, like, even I feel even when, like, Trump, was banning did the bump stock ban, and I felt like it was like you gotta. I get that under normal circumstances you want to try to meet some people in the middle, but when the left is that far against the Second Amendment, I feel like, look, you really can't give an inch, and in that particular situation, I feel, because it's like, like the old saying, you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile.
Well, they've been doing that. We've been given inches and inches, and like, it's been several miles so far. Like, look back in the 1930s, they're like, oh yeah, we'll give an inch. We'll just go and have them, regulate these guns. And comes into like, okay, well now you're gonna require background, like you have to go and get background checks for like a gun dealer, and you can't sell guns in the mail. And then it's like, oh, well, we'll ban quote unquote assault weapons. We've for like what was it, like 10 years. It's just, we've given so much ground, we never get anything in return. We might get a slice of what we had at one point. We don't get anything. It's not compromise when they just take and take and take.
Well, I also think that this is a very it's an effective strategy by the left, because it's like, okay, so if we go far extreme, then meeting in the middle is still pretty
Yeah.
liberal, right?
Yeah.
By optics, right? So I think there's a little bit of strategy there, but I like this is one of the reasons why I kind of prefer GOA over the NRA, even though I'm a lifetime member of NRA too. I don't, because we can't. The Second Amendment is something we can't really budge on, because once the more we give, the more they take, and the more we lose. Like
but see, stuff like bump stocks, is that honestly a big loss?
Yes, it is a big loss. It's like, look at the wording in there. Like, it is every single step, 1 inch is a big loss. Any loss is a big loss. Look, it's like the thing that happened with China. When they lost Hong Kong, is it a big loss to the Chinese government?
An entire city is different than some gun parts that nobody really uses.
No, it was a big deal. It's a more of a philosophical ideal. Just because someone doesn't use okay, well, let's say let's go and ban manual transmission cars. It starts out with stuff like that, and then it just keeps progressing. Why are we giving inches? Why are we doing this? What did we gain from that? Trump says for every one regulation he will take away 2 more. What are the 2 other regulations he's taken away from that? As in regards to guns, he hasn't done anything.
Well, to me, I look at guns. I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but I look at it as, first of all, we don't live in a free society. Let's acknowledge that. There's an illusion of freedom. We have a lot of freedom, but also not a lot. If we start from that point and then look at, if we took away a little bit of freedom for safety, for protection, for greater societal control in a good way, I think it's totally worth it.
Okay, well, what sort of protection did that grant?
People not using bump stocks.
Well, yeah, what sort of... Yeah, well, how often are they used? They were used once.
Yeah, but then they become... Now everybody knows what a bump stock is.
They knew what bump stocks were 20 years ago. Not 20 years ago.
Yeah, but I never knew what a bump stock was. Many people didn't know.
Most people did. They sold them at gun shows pretty openly.
I know, but the idea is that if you stop it now, it won't get worse.
No, that's a dumb philosophy.
That's terrible logic.
Well, shouldn't you be proactive, not reactive?
Yeah, we should be proactive and start deregulating things. I think if we made it more easier for people to acquire actual automatic weapons.
What?
Yeah,
why would we do that?
Yeah, because to actually get them, you have to go through so much background. You can't get them anymore. One, it discriminates against the poor significantly, because it's incredibly discriminatory. It's not even about the background checks. It's now a money check. To go and buy any sort of automatic weapon, you're gonna need $10,000 to just drop on that for a crappy Mac 10 clone from the 80s. It creates a wealth. It creates a wealth gap. And if people had access to get real automatic weapons, there'd be no point in having a bump stock. This was created to address a wealth problem with the current gun laws. If we have these problems,
wouldn't you argue though? Because we gotta go break real quick. But wouldn't you agree that it's easier to kill a lot of people with an automatic weapon?
Semi-automatic's pretty easy.
But automatic, where you can just spray down a bunch of bullets.
Just with your finger.
Yeah, but somebody that's not trained very well. A psychopath, a crazy guy.
Well, maybe, but that's not a big problem. If you look at it statistically, that's not a problem.
I love when Neil deGrasse Tyson sent out that tweet.
Just look at it. It's not a problem. It's not a huge societal issue. This happened once, and there's more people who die from hammers than die from bump stock weapons.
Bump stock weapons.
Even from automatic weapons, even for the legal ones, even back in the day, the NFA worked. You can buy automatic weapons right now. You just need to have a lot of money.
Yeah, I know. And I think that's the best system, is that if you have a lot of friction to it, so that people can still get them if they really, really want to. But it's not easily accessible to crazy people. I think that's fair.
Well, we already had that, and they should have repealed the Hughes Amendment so people can manufacture more, more modern automatic weapons that would actually lead to less stuff with the bump stocks.
And the background check system is garbage and poorly run anyway. Why? So you're gonna you're gonna put all these regulations in. You're gonna be like, oh, you got to pass a background check, but the background check system is ineffective. Like what? And the left doesn't care. They don't care. They want a full ban. That is their goal. They want a full ban. They're not. I think Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump tried to give them a little bit, and they, the left didn't blemish. They didn't even blink because, well, they're not going to blink because that wasn't their goal. Their goal was to have a full. They want a ban. They want to start banning guns. And honestly, I believe Trump is going to backtrack on this one. The closer we get to the election, we're probably going to see a backtrack on this one. And
well, I think Trump is naive on this issue because he's from New York. He doesn't understand that his son, was it Eric? Who's the one that came?
Don
Trump,
Jr.
He actually understands it, and I think I trust him more because he actually does it. If you don't understand guns, if you don't care about that, you're going to be inherently naive. It's like some guy talking about was it car laws or something or speed limit, and they never drove a car. It's just something completely alien to them. Some guy who's like the vaping stuff. If you never
we'll get into that soon.
If you never vaped and
that's
you're
not
talking
fair.
about this stuff you don't know what's actually happening on the streets. You kind of have to have some skin in the game. You sound like an idiot.
Disagree.
That's what the left is doing with guns, and that's what Trump's doing with vaping now. He sounds like a boomer.
Disagree hard, but we are going to have the great vape debate of 2019 as Trump and the FDA want to ban non-tobacco flavored e-cigarettes. This comes after about 450 severe lung diseases cases and 6 deaths across 33 states. Vaping is now becoming a dangerous epidemic. Most, this is very true because I've heard a little fake news on this, but most, but not all of these deaths involve THC. And the HHS has reported that more than 25% of high schoolers use e-cigarettes in 2019. As somebody that used to go to a high school and who has a parent that still works in the school system, I remember vaping was becoming a thing when I left 4 years ago, but now it's in the middle school and they're doing it all on the buses in a middle class area where this stuff never happened. We never had a drug problem, never had an alcohol problem. Yeah, people do it here and there, but it was never an epidemic. Vaping is an epidemic in all these places. I, for one, because everybody's going to ask, oh, what's your opinion on this? Because conservatives are a bit divided and kind of it's a divisive issue for them. I'm disappointed in Trump because I don't think he went far enough on this. I think he should have banned all tobacco e-cigarettes, all cigarettes, all e-cigarettes, period. Tobacco or not, nicotine or not, they should all be banned, gone with. I bet I'm going to have some disagreements on that one, so please light it up.
Well,
don't light up the e-cigarette or anything, but just light up the debate.
No, but what I was going to say is okay, well then people are just going to smuggle that in here. It is
what was that?
People are going to smuggle that in. We're allowing marijuana now. We finally came to the realization
Don't think we should allow that.
That marijuana is, that we're not going to throw people in jail. We're just starting to get to that point over a plant, and now we're like, oh yeah, let's let plants tobacco. The most American thing since more American than apple pie because apples are not native to America. Tobacco is. It is the most American thing.
Well, that doesn't mean it's a good thing.
What's a fine thing? It's
how is it fine?
Because nicotine, it has numerous benefits.
It has numerous downsides too, like lung cancer.
Not if you vape.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, so does cigarettes, though. But look, here's what I think.
Lay it down.
I think that eventually, like this opens the door for basically the FDA to sanction vape, small business vaping. Like I think it opens the door down the road for like the big companies, like the big vaping companies like Juul and all those guys to release their, you know, broader, more expensive products, and they're trying to, you know, basically push away the smaller like vape companies or whatever.
What's the point of like banning flavored vapes? That's not killing people. What's killing the people is black market hooch.
They're going to argue.
Well, here's
Nah,
yes.
It's partially true, but not all these were that.
Well, most of them were the THC, and of the non-THC ones, which brands were they?
I don't know. I saw a thing today of somebody that was smoking, I believe, Juuls for 18 months, and they're now having serious. They said their doctor said they had lungs of a 70-year-old. I'm trying to find the article, but look, this is the way I look at it. How is any of it good? There's toxins in these things. How can it be good?
Well, how can it? Well, let's see. Out of all the people over there who are doing that, you know what? And only, you know, there's millions of people doing it. And only like a handful of people have problems. Like what?
So far.
Yeah, you know how
there's
long,
going to be more.
Do you know how many years e-cigarettes have been out already?
Not as long as cigarettes, and that's why we're not seeing as large numbers.
They have had e-cigarettes in some form or another since like the 80s. Yes. Now
Have
they
they
weren't.
been as
They were not
popular?
as popular, but
Well,
like
that's why.
the late 2000s, they were starting to get pretty popular.
And now we're seeing a bunch of problems, and you're going to see even more.
Yeah, because the vast majority of people are acquiring these on the black market. You didn't start to see these problems until you started seeing states start to put bans, and you started seeing states start to go and regulate and tax it. Once they start taxing it, people go to the black market. Look at what happened with moonshine. You know, when we banned liquor, you know, period, people went to get moonshine, and that stuff, you know, even they started putting all sorts of crazy chemicals in there because people were home making it. Same thing with vaporizers. You know, they're putting like vegetable oil in there, and that's not good. You know, you start vaping stuff that isn't alcohol based, you can easily get pneumonia. You can get a whole heap of other problems, especially with the marijuana vaporizers. That's where the majority of the problem comes by.
And that is a big problem. I agree.
And that's the black market. You know, maybe we should go as a country and start saying, hey, there's a black market and people are getting hurt. Maybe we should go and lighten the way to a legal market.
No, but see, that's the issue I have. Because the left will use that same argument with abortion. They'll be like, well, you know.
You're not killing a baby, though.
I know.
This is a completely
but you're killing
different.
people. You're killing people. You're
Not,
killing adults.
You're saving lives if they don't have to go to the black market for this.
Yeah, but a lot of these people are still going to die from these things.
Well, no, because the majority of the people they're dying because they're like black market products.
Yeah, but I think in a few years you're going to. Because look, here's the other thing. This whole vaping thing is happening with a lot of high schoolers and middle schoolers. When they get older and they've used these things throughout their whole life, that's when you're going to see issues. That's when you're going to see people dying from it. I think it's going to be a major problem soon. Are people checking our shirts?
I don't know. We got a couple people.
You got
there.
some onlookers. Yeah.
But I think
No, like we would have seen them by now.
No, because
Yes.
people haven't been using them enough and old enough to have the.
They have done tests. They have seen tests done where this is 90 some odd % less chemicals than cigarettes. You can look at it.
Here's the thing on that, and I'll let Phil get in because I can tell he's trying to get something in there. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know which is worse. I'm not gonna lie because I don't think they're 100% comparable. But I have heard cases of people that used to smoke cigarettes that go to vaping and eventually quit. That's the only thing I think vaping has potentially has a benefit for. I don't think, because I look at this from a marketing perspective, a business perspective, and I see big companies saying, cigarettes are becoming uncool. People have already realized that they're bad for you. What can we do to get people to buy new stuff and get them addicted? Vaping. And that's what they did. And they're marketing it in a way like with the fruity flavors, clearly for kids. It's clearly aimed at kids.
Clearly for kids.
Yes, it is.
No,
Look at the packagings.
I have bought different types. It says clearly must be 21. You know, not
in all states.
Well, okay, well look at let's.
They don't care about that.
Okay. Say that about the tobacco industry. How come you can go and have liquor, alcohol bottles that have fruity flavors that taste just like soda? You know, even like Coke made a rum and Coke version. You know, I have seen so many liquor advertisements of, what was it, Pinnacle, Cherry Pinnacle. That stuff, it looks like cherry. You know, kids want that stuff, like 99 bananas. That's fruit flavors. Why isn't Trump banning that? That is a heck of a lot more
Because
dangerous
this is becoming
to
an
kids.
epidemic in high schools and middle schools. You're seeing it like crazy. Like I said, more than 25%
that's
of
not-
high schoolers using these things.
Do you know how much
It's
kids used to
clearly
smoke
targeted
cigarettes
at
in
them.
high school?
Not, I mean, so
Yes,
we'll see the numbers
yes.
it's been a lot, but guess what? Now it's shifting because they're not using cigarettes now and they're using the vapes.
I'd rather them be using vapes and
I'd
cigarettes.
rather
Is a
not be
heck
doing
of a
it.
lot better. Like when I was in high school, I'd see kids chewing tobacco. Like every time I go in the bathroom, there would be like tobacco spit in the toilets.
Phil, what's your takes? Like, I know you have some things to
No,
say.
I think okay. So here's how I think it could play out. Like because it kind of falls in line with other industries, like how they did it to like questionable industries. They're probably gonna try to do a full. They're probably gonna try to do a full vaping ban at first. Then Juul's gonna come out and say, "Oh, well, we've tested it. We've tested our product. We've altered our product, so now it is more.
Yeah.
So that now that it's less detrimental to our customers, or they'll put disclaimers and all that stuff, and then they will be let back on the market. That's what I think will happen. Because keep in mind, Juul's owned by Altria, right?
Yes,
They're
very
owned
good
by
point.
Altria.
And what does
So-
Altria make?
Well, they're Philip Morris. They make cigarettes too.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this is and this kind of falls in line with a lot of other industries too. With how the government reacts to the public or whatever. Is it right? I don't know. I don't smoke. I don't vape. So I can't. I don't know what's good or bad or whatever. But I mean, let's be real. A lot of people just don't care anyway. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
Look, my friends came back from Cabo and bought cigarettes from Mexico that had signs on them, like big black and white signs that said "Smoking will kill you." They bought the packs anyway. They don't care. They don't care.
I agree, and keep in mind these big tobacco companies and the vape companies, they don't care either because they see this as the biggest cash cow because you get people addicted to it, and they're going to keep giving you money. So the bigger issue I have, because people I've seen have gotten like really triggered saying, oh, if you are for the vape ban, you're not a conservative. First of all, I don't even consider myself a conservative.
Well, that is not a conservative opinion because
How?
that is anti-free market.
No.
Yes.
Here's the issue with it. Here's the issue I have.
Okay.
We as conservatives are against I'm trying to word this carefully. We're against paying for other people's misfortunes, let's say, right? Think we'd agree?
What do you mean by that?
In terms of we're all for personal responsibility.
Look at Social Security. How's that a conservative thing?
Well, that's a little different. But
Well, that is paying for other people's.
well, no, but you put money in and it comes back to you.
Yeah.
You don't like paying for other people's
Well,
issues,
some people
let's
get
say.
paid out of Social Security who never paid into it.
Well,
Like they've been digging into that fund. It goes, people's special needs, all this stuff. Yeah, we pay for other people's.
Well, I think Social Security, though, at least has a net I mean, I don't know the math's not, but I would hope it's a net positive. Could be wrong. But here's the thing. I have an issue with people making bad decisions. They have health problems. They wind up in the hospital, and then I have to pay for their care. I don't want to pay for their care. If the only two worlds we can live in, to me, that are good, that are fair, is either if you go into the hospital and they find out that whatever disease, whatever problem you have is related to, let's say, vape, let's say alcohol, let's say cigarettes, any sort of drugs, all that bad stuff, because you made that choice and you're screwing your own body up, I don't want to pay for that. You have to pay for that. But that's not the world we live in. The world we live in is we have to pay for that. So either we fix that system, which I don't think is going to happen, or we have to get rid of these products so people aren't using them and I don't have to pay for other people's bad mistakes. That's the way I look at it. And it's the same thing with anything else. I think that's a conservative stance. I know people are going to disagree with me, but conservatives don't like when we have to pay for illegal immigrants, we have to pay for other stuff. I don't want to pay for these things.
Well, people, they still pay for health insurance.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you go to an emergency room...
Well, out of all those people, out of all the years it's been out, you only had a couple people go into emergency room for
I want to pay for any of them.
Okay, well, there's people paying for a lot of other stuff, going to the emergency room.
I don't
for
mind
people
if
who are
it's
getting
an
diabetes.
accident. Well, see, I have an issue with that too.
Well,
let's
see where that's like. Where's that? Or where's that outrage? People who go and drink. People who do any sort of personal choice. What about transgenders? People want to chop off their penis.
I'm the same way. I don't want to pay for that either.
But
Exactly.
I don't care.
Exactly.
If they're going to be paying for that, I want to be able to go and do whatever legal vice I want to do.
Because the way I look at it is, we pay for all these things, and yet, look, I am pro freedom and all that, and do whatever you want for your own body, as long as you're not harming other people, as long as you're not taking stuff from other people. That's the problem I have with drugs. That's why I can never be for drug legalization. One of the reasons I can never be for drug legalization and stuff like this.
Okay, well,
am I far off on this?
Don't people who vape pay for their own health insurance?
But they don't pay when they make emergency room visits.
Yeah, you do. You pay. I pay for
no. You can walk into an emergency room and everybody can. It's they take look.
I love to see that. I know I went to the emergency room. I paid a lot of money for that.
But if I'm not okay, correct me if I'm wrong. But for example, an illegal immigrant, because this is where I learned about a lot of this stuff. Illegal immigrants, let's say if they get hurt, they can go to the emergency room, get fixed up. They don't have to pay for it.
They'll bill you. You'll get billed for it. Whether or not you pay it back, that's a different story, but you will get billed.
And also puts a burden on the healthcare system. Think of it that way. Or they could raise your healthcare rates because there are more people vaping, more people being liabilities, and you have to pay more into that.
The amount of damage that... Okay, so vaping has been proven to be 99% less dangerous chemicals than smoking. It has no tar.
I don't believe it.
There is no tar. Let's see. Vegetable glycol, propylene glycol... You got three materials: vegetable glycol, propylene glycol, nicotine, and then I guess whatever flavor.
Nicotine, great ingredient.
Yeah, you know what else has nicotine in it? Tomatoes, potatoes, green peppers. Yes.
Somebody needs to fact check.
Fact check it. Go ahead. Look it up. Look it up.
I don't buy it.
It is true.
I just don't buy it.
Tomatoes, so we're gonna ban ketchup now because there's nicotine.
Yeah, but people aren't going into the hospital for eating ketchup.
People aren't going
unless
to the
they
hospital
shove it
for
up their
buying
butts.
Regular vaporizers. They are not going to the hospital for that.
They will be.
They won't. They would have already done it by now.
It takes time for these effects. These are long-term effects.
It does not.
These aren't
take
immediate.
That much.
It's not like with alcohol where you can, start swallowing on your own vomit, after, you do something real stupid with it, or choke on your own vomit after you do something really stupid with it, or drugs where you can OD on it quickly. This thing takes forever. It is dangerous.
If it was more dangerous, you'd see a lot more deaths with the amount of people taking it.
You need time.
Look at stuff like Advil. What was it? It was either Advil or Tylenol, where 50 people a year die from that. More people died from, I think it was Tylenol, than vaping. Think about that.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And it's also not comparable because, again, vaping is a new phenomenon. You need to measure how it's been out there for many years.
It is based off of smoking. It is
but they found many studies.
Delivery system that is significantly more effective than smoking because you cut out the tar. There's no tar.
But there's other toxins in it. You trade other bad stuff for more bad stuff.
It's made in a lab. It's made to lab standards.
I don't believe it.
Yes, it is.
I don't believe it.
Yes, it is. They made those changes. Trump did make a change where they are made in a lab now.
So what's the point of vaping then?
Because it's a nicotine delivery system. You get nicotine from it.
And why is that good?
Because it's a nootropic. There's actually plenty of benefits to short and long-term memory from nicotine.
I don't buy it.
Yes, there's some studies.
I don't buy. I think the negatives outweigh the positives. You have the document.
I do have. There is studies. There is studies that nicotine itself, take away whatever preconceptions you have about the nicotine delivery system. But nicotine itself is a nootropic. It has positive qualities to it.
Phil, what do you think?
I think people should just be able to do whatever they want. But
what if it negatively affects other people?
Anything could affect other people. Look, what about So by that logic, do we ban food? Do we ban?
No, but food's.
Well, let's ban soda. Let's ban.
How many diabetics and overweight people do we have in this country? Like by that logic, they should just, we should just go liberal and just make,
But food's a necessity. We all need
we
food.
need soda?
No, not soda, not high fat, high sugar products. Like, by your logic, we should basically turn every supermarket into a freaking Whole Foods. Except,
No. Because you can get diabetes from it, but it's way less likely and it's way less severe effects than smoking. Smoking gives you cancer.
You know how much people have diabetes in the United States? You know how much more expensive
diabetes can get?
I know it can get crazy.
You know how expensive it is for insulin?
No.
It is incredibly.
I've heard it's expensive.
Yes, and then for the millions of people who have diabetes in America.
But here's the thing.
There are companies that can't produce insulin fast enough for the people in this country.
Yeah. I know, and that's an issue, but at the same time,
it's a much worse issue than vaping.
So this is where I tail off, because about a handful of people are dying, and of course dying, is like, it's tragic, period. But I'm saying, if you, by that definition, if you're gonna go after vaping, because a handful of people are dying, you have to set the standard for everything else, right?
No.
You have to,
no, because vaping has no positives.
Yes, it does. There is positives to nicotine.
What?
There is positives to nicotine. Look. It is a nootropic.
Here, how about let's use cigarettes as another example.
Well, there's a big difference between vaping and cigarettes.
I know. Do you think cigarettes should be banned?
There's carbon monoxide, which messes up your whole body.
I don't think cigarettes should be banned. I don't think we should ban it. We should not be in the business. Why should the government be banning things?
For safety of its citizens. The government has to protect people.
No, that's not the point of the government. The government should enable liberty.
Are you messing with us, Sean?
No.
Seriously.
No, I think it's dumb to allow things that we know have dramatic negative effects on people. And I know people are going to say vaping isn't as bad.
Well, we tell them that this could cause cancer. Boom. Okay, they're aware. They can make an informed decision. They have perfect knowledge at that point, that cigarettes can lead to cancer.
And then cancer, and then you get to that, it causes cancer. What doesn't cause cancer? What doesn't cause cancer in this
Apples,
country?
oranges,
well, there's people
bread.
who smoke too that we have the technology where we can detect if you have the genes that would lend you to get cancer more likely. Like, we have the technology right now. Take 23andMe. Boom. Are you likely to get cancer from smoking? No. Okay, then you shouldn't have to go and pay anything extra if you smoke on your insurance, because you're likely not to have any problems with it.
But wouldn't you guys agree that, let's say, how do I word this? If we have more deaths, more problems, more costs associated with more people smoking, more people going to hospital, doesn't that put a burden on the rest of society and through your insurance? Let's use that. Would you guys agree with that, at least?
Well, I mean, theoretically, I guess it probably would, but, I'm not going to go and start flipping out over little things like that. And in the whole world of drugs, like, nicotine is not even that bad.
Really?
Yeah.
It's addictive as heck.
It's addictive, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's dangerous.
Yeah, it is.
Because
people have to keep doing it.
You don't have to keep doing it.
Yeah, people once they take a quick, few hits of that nicotine cigarette, they're stuck on it.
I don't know if that's true.
Have you known anybody that smoke a cigarette and then never smoke one ever again?
Yeah, I used to smoke all the time. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. I use vaping. But
you move from one nicotine product to another.
Yeah, but the vaping is
addicted to it.
It's significant. There is 99%.
Could you go a day without your vape?
I've done it before.
Really?
Yeah, I've gone.
Then why don't you quit?
Why would I want to? It's fun.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
How?
You don't know. It's fun. It's like a little bit of a nicotine buzz from it. Nicotine is a nice chemical. It keeps you alert.
Oh man, no, sorry.
It improves.
We know cigarettes are bad.
But
we know vaping is going to be bad.
No, we don't.
It's going to be bad.
No, we don't.
I just see that's where I don't think we're going to find common ground on this if we can't agree that vaping is bad.
Nicotine is not a bad chemical. It is no different than caffeine. It's no different than caffeine. Look it up.
Caffeine you don't get addicted to.
Yes,
I drink this every now and then. I've never been addicted to it.
Caffeine. You can get physically addicted to caffeine.
You can, but it's way less likely than with nicotine. Nicotine is strong and powerful.
If we ban caffeine in the workforce, you know how much productivity would decrease?
Yeah, well, I don't want to ban caffeine.
Why not? It's addictive.
Yeah, but it's not putting people in the hospital for lung cancer.
Yeah, vaping does not put people in the hospital
It will
for lung
be.
cancer.
It has been.
Not for lung cancer.
Well, it's been for lung disease technically,
Well,
but you're going to
for
see
people
so
who
many
are,
bad
99%
issues.
of them are vaping THC. They're using other black market products. And they can make it in laboratories where they do not have any adulterated contents in it. They can make it using science.
I
They've
don't
been
believe
making
it.
it.
I look because these companies know they have to make addictive people stay on it, and that's what they're doing.
They're just
It's
making it
all
with the
about
nicotine.
money. They're making money off of people's death and destruction.
Vaping's not killing anyone unless they go and start buying like off-brand stuff. That would be like saying
It has
"Hey,
long-term effects.
Let's ban Jack Daniels because someone's drinking moonshine. That is the level of intelligence.
No,
That's what
okay. If
this
you're using an
conversation
analogy,
is.
that's where we
But
know
that's the
we've
same
lost.
thing. No, he is right though. Let's ban Velveeta because there's an obese death in America. Like, no, I'm sorry. It's like I honestly don't care if it I don't care if it kills people because you're making a choice. Like when you put that cigarette in your mouth, when you put that food in your mouth, you are making a conscious decision. If you know, like this isn't new information. Like, oh, these things kill people. No, you know that these things kill people, and yet you do it anyway. That is your informed decision. Okay, I don't care. Like if you look, if you want to do whatever you want to do, that's part of what freedom is. Freedom to make your own decisions.
I agree, but I just don't want to
know,
be paying for it.
But
Well,
you can't have it
they
both
pay
ways.
for their
though.
own insurance. You know, everyone pays for their own insurance.
Yeah, but the rates get jacked up because people make stupid
well, they
decisions.
can put them in their own like.
I just want to limit it I know it in an idealistic world you can't ban everything that makes people bad because they're still going to do things. I get that. I just want to limit it.
And
It's
so
not
let's
much to ask.
And let's not act like these health insurance companies aren't going to find a way to screw you over anyway.
Oh,
Like,
true,
Yeah,
true.
They're in
Let's be
bed
real.
with
Yeah.
bed with the pharmaceutical industry. They're
Yeah.
trying to
Come
hurt
on.
you. If we actually had like in a perfect world healthcare system, healthcare costs would be so far down. You know, but we had like these, they're out to make money, and then we have this patent system, which is frankly pretty messed up. That's creating these insanely high costs, and they're like, it's this whole organization that's trying
Okay.
to hurt the common
Well,
man.
it's a necessary evil.
Yeah, I mean,
Here's-
that's the problem. You know,
A
Okay.
necessary evil.
But I want to go back to something else because it's important because this is an interesting philosophical thing. Do you guys think the role of government is to, broadly speaking, not 100%, not with everything, watch out for or keep the public safe, look at public safety? You know, do you think there's a role in government to be concerned with public safety?
I think the role of government should be to ensure freedom.
Okay, so then should we abolish the FDA?
Well, if people, I believe that to be free, you have to be able to make a good decision. You should have to know the facts. And if people are adulterating food, then they don't have perfect information. And I think the government.
But it's freedom. It's freedom.
I believe that you should have.
But it's freedom.
But you cannot make a informed decision if you don't have all.
Why
the facts.
should you need to make an informed decision?
Because that's part of freedom. If people, you can't just have people lying to you. That
Sure, you
is-
can't. It's freedom.
No, there's a certain.
I'm just playing with you, by the way. I'm not arguing with this.
No,
but,
I know, but part of freedom. You have to be able to have true information. If people lie to you, that's not real freedom.
So when a news outlet lies, how should we deal with that?
Well, they should be fined.
Okay. So see, this is what I'm getting at.
If a news outlet is deliberately saying fake news, then they should be held liable for that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that shouldn't be. They shouldn't be allowed if they call themselves a news outlet. If they call themselves, you know, like a talk show or something, or like a comedy show, you know, they can do that because they're not selling it as truth. But if you make a claim, you should be required to back it up in some way. Now, if Juul is saying that this is healthy for you, you know, they should be required to back that up. If they're saying this is not as dangerous as cigarettes, you know, they can. And they probably have the capability to show that it is less unhealthy than cigarettes, and they should be allowed to say that.
Mm-hmm. So in other words, 'cause I'm trying to get something out of this here, which is, do you then think that there should be some government regulation or limitations to freedom? Because you said that the government's purpose is to, how'd you word with freedom?
It's to enable freedom.
Enable freedom. But if you have things that are, I guess you could say controlling parts of society, how is that freedom then?
Well, you shouldn't be lying. That I believe
shouldn't be, but shouldn't you be allowed to?
Well, if you
because what is a
person
lie?
Want to lie,
Well,
but if
it
you're
depends.
delivering false information to mislead someone, I think that's different. If you're going to say that like 9/11 didn't happen, you should be allowed to say that. I disagree with that, but you're not trying to sell.
But isn't that a lie?
Yeah, but you're not trying to go and like sell a product or something. You're not trying to manipulate someone.
Okay.
You're not, and you're not trying to look, because the you look at the First Amendment, like not everything is protected under free speech.
Exactly.
Like you can't scream fire or you can't scream bomb on an airplane, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't, you
can't make a threat.
You can't make a violent threat, correct?
Right. And like look, and I think lying is okay until you do it to where you're affecting the livelihood of somebody else.
That's what I believe. Shouldn't have. You can do that. That's what I was saying earlier. If you can do whatever you want with your life, as long as you're not negatively affecting other people.
I think that's different because like you're lying. You're providing false information. I like see when the cigarettes said, "Hey, the doctors recommend smoking Camels." That would be illegal and that should be illegal. But to go and say, "Hey, we're Camel cigarettes. We're better. Whatever they want to say, they should be allowed to exist, but they shouldn't be allowed to go and lie about stuff." And I think they should be allowed to advertise too, because we allow liquor to advertise and beer, and we allow drug companies like antidepressants to advertise, and no one else allows that. So I don't see how they're allowed to do that.
Here's an issue though, with the smoking thing. If you allow them to have allow these products to be out there, allow them to have more freedom, allow them to have all these things. As we're seeing with younger demographics, they're using these things more. Isn't allowing these things to be on the market? Because I know, yes, you have to be a certain age to buy them, but obviously that doesn't stop younger kids from using them. Doesn't that mean that younger, less informed minds, they can't make a rational decision on this? They can't make their own decision on this because they're young and they don't know about this stuff. They don't get it. Like, is it really fair to, I could say, the younger demographic then to allow this stuff to be out there the way it is?
Well, that's why they have an age limit. Why you have to be 18 to
but
buy
it hasn't stopped that.
Well, what's stopping? I know people who've drank since they were 13.
Yeah.
You get that happening too. People smoke weed who are kids. That's been illegal for everybody, but like something like 50% of American population have tried weed at some point in their life. Possibly more than that now.
So how do we then stop younger people from using vapes?
We have age limits.
It's also not my fault that they have garbage parents.
Yeah, that's what the parents are for. Their parents should stop them.
Here's the thing. I agree with that, but I don't know. Because, here's the thing. When a parent tells a kid not to do something, that in a way makes them want to do that thing more.
If your parent sees
that's
you
what I'm saying. Like, how do you fix
this? If
this?
sees you vaping, the parent can go and take out the belt and start spanking your butt, and take the vaporizer and throw it in the garbage can. That's what a parent can do.
We can't do that anymore. That's called domestic abuse now.
Well, they just have to get rid of the vaporizer. If the parent sees that,
get rid of them, ban them.
No, not ban them. Just because something's out there doesn't mean that you have to do it. Look at Mormons. They don't believe in drinking coffee, but you don't see them banning Starbucks.
Well, because coffee doesn't give you cancer.
Not according to California.
Yikes.
Wait, coffee gives you cancer?
Apparently it does.
What?
They had to have read that. I think there's a sign in your little coffee cup and according to the Surgeon
California
General in
thinks
California,
everything gives you cancer.
Because everything probably does give you cancer.
I don't believe it. I don't believe anything comes out of California.
You gotta die at some point in your life. Cancer. By the time that's the problem, anyways, we'll probably have a cure for that. And we put in so much billions of dollars into cancer research. Either that or you can go and buy a new lung. And see, that'll be the point, I guess, where we just stop caring about cigarettes. You could just go down to the lung warehouse and pick up a new one. lung warehouse.
Lung warehouse.
Be like men's warehouse with
Yeah.
like lungs.
They're
Also,
all on
the-
the like shelves. You gotta pick the one that fits you best.
Oh, look at this. Got designer lung over here. This is modeled after Michael Phelps. Oh, yes.
Any final thoughts on this before we go to a little break? None.
No, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, you have to either believe in freedom or you don't believe in freedom.
I don't. I think that's so
Like,
flawed.
there-
That's so
there
flawed because
is-
we don't have freedom.
Well, we can have you could believe in wanting more
Nothing's
freedom.
absolute
Well, nothing's, well,
except. Well,
there are
no.
certain.
Maybe, but
can-
like
you can have an
freedom
absolute
is not
freedom.
absolute, nor should it be. I know that's gonna be an unpopular thing to say on this show.
Well, the government, see, if you don't believe it, like the government should provide the most freedom that it should try to provide
it
for a society
can.
that has the most freedom possible.
I agree. The way I look at things, though, is that society needs some guide rails. It needs something. The way I look at it for freedom is you're in this little, you're in this little square. You have all the freedom you want as long as you're in this little square and there's like bumpers to sort of keep things in line. I know that can maybe sound to some people kind of liberal. That's the way I look at it. To me, because that's a practical sense. Because you can't buy every gun you want. You can't say
Well,
anything you want.
well,
And I know
okay,
people are going to disagree
so
with me.
buying the guns, I think that's, that could be expanded. That
I think in some ways, like I think they should expand concealed carry, but stuff like you have to get background check to get a gun. That's technically a limitation on freedom, but
I
it
don't
keeps
like
society
that.
safer.
I
You
don't
don't
know
like
if I
background checks?
No, I don't like background
Why?
checks. Why would I like it?
Because it prevents, it makes it harder for
People can-
bad people to have guns.
They can get it easily. You can easily just.
But it
buy
makes
off
it
of
harder,
someone.
doesn't it?
Well, I mean, you can just go and there's so many things you can do if you want to do bad stuff. You can stab someone.
I know, but doesn't it make it harder? And why is that necessarily a bad thing to make something harder for bad people to get?
Because it makes it harder for good people to get to, and it makes it more expensive.
I
I don't like
entirely
the
agree with
inconvenience.
that.
Why can't I go and
A little inconvenience for a little safer society.
No, I mean
I'd
it's
trade
not like what's stopping the. Yeah, look at Philadelphia. Most of these guns are illegal anyways. They're
Yeah,
still
but that's
getting-
going too far. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it's happening though. You can't have it like let's just have it back in the day. Let's bring the firearms in the 21st century. Why can you order a car to your house? We can't order a gun to your house. Why is it when you try to travel across state lines, like it becomes this convoluted mess? It's like you're traveling across different countries, with the firearm laws. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, because different states have different laws
I know,
on
and
guns.
that's the problem. I think we should have, you get your
Isn't that
license.
not necessarily a bad thing? Because if there are bad gun policies, we can see the results.
No, because then it becomes a pain. Like, what if you live in a RV? How are you going to survive? How are you going to have your Second Amendment and an RV at the same time?
I mean, because I don't know a lot about this, but aren't there some exceptions for state by state travel?
Okay, so like if you live in an RV, like if you travel between states, you can't stop anywhere. It has to be continuous, and like your state origin and your destination. Like, so if you go
We
and like
stop
stay at
for
a
gas.
hotel or stop for gas, like if you stop for gas, there might be an exception for that. But if like you stop to get a bite to eat, you best not be stopping in Maryland, DC, New York, or else you're gonna be thrown in the slammer if they catch you.
Yeah. Well, last thing I'll say, because then we got to go break. I think, because this is where I have a lot of issues with libertarians. I think this whole libertarian ideal that we can have this unlimited freedom and we'll live in a nice, happy world is very flawed. It doesn't make any sense. And I think, like I said, society needs a little bit of control. Just needs a little bit. Doesn't need a lot. Just because, look, I think we'd all agree there are too many dumb people out there, too many people that make bad decisions. You need to kind of keep those people from hurting the people that are making good decisions or becoming
sound
a
like-
burden. Yeah,
You sound a little liberal right now.
I know, but am I wrong?
Let them die.
Am I wrong?
Let them die. Let them make mistakes.
Am I wrong?
No, because what you're doing is you're preventing natural selection.
Okay, my cynical side is like, oh, yes. But my practical side is like, we kind of can't do that.
Yeah, you can. We've done it for thousands of years, Let them
No.
make mistakes. Let them fall on their face,
I think for some things, as long as I'm not paying for it, as long as it becomes a doesn't problem for
As
me.
long as they can make an informed decision, it's their mistake to make. If they know something's bad, we shouldn't be holding their hand. It's not.
I agree as long as I don't have to pay for it and it doesn't affect me. That would be perfectly fine for me. I don't think my stance on this is unreasonable at all. At all. I guess we'll talk about actually some stuff that's happened at Penn State here. So I went to the hospital, or not the hospital. I went to the fitness center, the intramural building, as they call it.
So that happened.
Yeah, that happened twice. And I also went to the medical center, and I saw these new things Penn State has. They're called gender identification cards. Okay? This is what our tuition money is being spent on. These little cards that say, please call me, insert name. My gender pronouns are, and it's a blank box. You can fill whatever you want on there. Then you have to say your sexual orientation, which is gay, straight, lesbian, bisexual, queer, pansexual, or asexual. Asexual does not exist, by the way, in my opinion. And then there's gender identity. And also you can fill in your own sexual orientation identity. They put a little blank space for you to add your own there. And the same with gender identity. There's woman, man, transgender, gender queer, which I don't know what that means, and non-binary. Or you can have a different identity in the blank box and write your own in. Yeah, so why do these things exist, and why did they spell folks with an X?
Well, it's a new way to go and feel special about yourself. You know, so that's not just... You can't just be gay anymore. You have to be like gender queer, non-binary, transsexual. Like it's something new. It's just like it's a way to express yourself, I guess. It's like, oh, okay, well, I'm instead of just like wearing, like a different band T-shirt, I'm just gonna go and like wear a lady skirt, and I'm gonna go and carry this around with me, so I can be like, hey, Gestapo, here's my papers, and it's like. Okay, sir. It's the gender.
When you give your license like an officer or something, you have to bring this thing out now.
Yeah, I guess that's what they're pushing. Like, and then like you see the real progressive types in like their email, email signatures. So it'll be like the pronouns, and it's just like, oh god.
I know. It's always at the bottom of the email, like the signature, and it's like, oh, you see like, phone number, and then these gender pronouns that don't exist, like zer.
It's just creating more problems. It's making society more complicated for no purpose.
Should we ban these?
No, I don't think they should be banned. Like, if you want to be stupid and like have these things, you're more than welcome to it. Do I have to care about it? No.
But again, why am I paying for this at Penn State? I have an issue with that.
There is a difference. Like, Penn State's offering that. I don't think they should. And you have a right I don't think you should be forced to pay for that. There's a difference. Like, I don't think you should have to pay for that, but Penn State is a voluntary organization. Now, see if
but it's also taxpayer funded.
Yeah, and I don't think we should be funding at least this aspect of that. I think that's silly.
What's the point of this thing? I could literally type this up on like an iPhone or a paper that I print out or write it myself. Why do we have to spend money to give people these cards they're never going to use?
What's the point of the LGBTQAIP Resource Center over here?
I don't think it's true.
And we're about to get canceled in 5,
4,
3, 2. No.
Well, I mean, they have stupid things.
I know.
I think those are useless.
I do too. Don't want to pay for it. I want them. I want Penn State to ban these.
That's funny. That's funny though when you think about it, 'cause that's not eco-friendly.
It's not, because you're using colored paper and it's thick paper. I mean, look at this thing.
You know what they should do is just tell the gender non-conforming people who would make use of that just to print that out themselves and to fold up and put in their wallet.
Yeah, and here's the thing too. Like, they're making me, they're forcing me to understand, talk about, know all these things about them that maybe some people disagree about, like the whole gender queer non-binary thing. I don't think those things are genuinely real, to be honest. That's just my opinion. Could be wrong, but I've heard about this stuff before. I've talked to people about it. There's only 2 genders, man, woman. Sorry.
Yeah, that's.
You have something to add, Dictator Phil?
Philly boy.
I think he disappeared
We're
on
silly
us.
Philly.
Did my vape stance trigger everyone out of existence? Oh, he's gonna be back, he said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just
ban these ID cards. Ban them. Don't want to pay for them.
Yeah, they shouldn't. They should not be funded by Penn State.
Oh my God! See, everybody does agree, but that's not conservative stance, is it?
What? Just not to fund stuff?
Yeah, they should be allowed to.
No, they should be allowed to do that with their own money. I mean, if they want to, they can.
See, people secretly agree with me on this vaping thing. They just don't realize
No,
it.
it's not agreeing with vaping. Like, I never said that. Like, I think that they should exist. I'm not saying that Penn State should provide me vaporizer. I'm not saying Penn State should send me vape juice.
But you agree with the principle, though, that you don't want to pay for stuff you don't like.
Well, I already pay for health insurance.
I know, but these things, we don't want them, right? We don't want our money going towards them.
No, I don't want my money going towards. I don't want you to pay for my vaporizer either. I don't think that you should pay for the government. I don't think that, Trump should be sending me vape juice in the mail. I don't think I should be getting a tax subsidy to go and vaporize.
Tax subsidy.
There's a difference between wanting
subsidy.
the opportunity to do something versus wanting for it to be funded.
I agree, but again, consequences that you have to pay for is where I come in and say no.
If you kill yourself off of vaping, that should be between you and your medical provider.
I agree, but it isn't.
Well, that's not my fault, and they need to fix a health insurance program.
Here we go.
Like, they can fix a health insurance program. Like, do that.
That's what I'm saying.
They already put you into like different categories. They already kind of deal with that. And the vaping, it's not even like nearly as strong of an issue as cigarettes. It actually helps you get off of cigarettes, so it's actually a net benefit.
Disagree.
Yeah, no, it is a net benefit. I know people who went from cigarettes to vaping to nothing.
And I know. And I said I think it's good in some of those cases.
It is a net benefit,
but I don't think it's a net benefit.
Absolutely is. You get. I mean, yeah, sure, you'll get kids out there who do it, but
lots of kids.
So what? How many kids used to smoke cigarettes?
Too many.
Yeah, and now they're just vaping. It's like I saw first world problems.
I saw a joke on the movie The Brothers Grimsby where the Sacha Baron Cohen character, I think he has like a 10-year-old kid, and he was smoking, and the Sacha Baron Cohen character, he's like, "Hey, you're too young to be smoking. You should be vaping instead." It's funny.
It's so relevant.
Yeah, so what? If they want to vape, I don't care that much. Like, it's not like they're shooting up heroin. For it. I don't think we should be like
vaping's the gateway drug.
Oh God, that whole excuse too. It's like, oh.
Do you guys? I'm curious. You guys believe in gateway drugs?
Well.
Or if you do, which would be?
I don't think that alcohol. I don't think a legal drug would be a gateway drug. Like, I could and I really don't think in gateway drugs too much. But theoretically, I could understand where weed's coming from. Because you have to go to.
I think it depends on the person.
You have to go to a drug dealer to get weed. You don't have to go to a drug dealer to buy cigarettes or alcohol.
I think it depends on the person. I think there's also people that are just naturally going to do all these bad things. And then I think there are people that are on the fence, and then once they start one, they get more curious about others, or they want a higher high and they start doing other things. Then I think there are people that can just do one thing and that's it. I think it's a real depends thing.
Marijuana is a gateway drug to
munchies.
To munchy, sleepy, and happy. That's what it's the gateway to.
See, I mean, the only what do we mean by gateway drug? How are we defining that?
I think
it leads to other drugs.
Yes.
Now, the only thing with pot. Now, if we legalize pot, I don't think it'd be a gateway drug, because what happens is you're being put into contact with drug people, because you have to get drugs from drug people. You don't have to get cigarettes from.
You think that's what makes it a gateway drug, is how you get it?
Yeah, because you get put into contact with those people. Like, your weed dealer probably is dealing more than just weed too, because you get probably a lot more money by dealing a little bit of cocaine, and then you start getting onto that, and it's like, cocaine's probably good. Cocaine would probably be a gateway drug. I would probably consider cocaine a great.
Why?
Because it leads to actual other harder stuff. It puts you in league with those.
But how does it?
Because cocaine's pretty close to crack. Once you smoke crack, that's a pretty hard drug.
Because cocaine is super expensive, and then once you realize you can't afford it, that after a while, then you start going to the harder.
You go like
stuff.
meth. Yeah.
You mean Adderall?
Oh yeah, actually, yeah, that's probably more of a gateway drug than anything. It's probably opiate, probably OxyContin. That's probably the most powerful That's probably the real gateway drug out here. Not marijuana. I'd probably say
I have an interesting thought. Do you think OxyContin, opioids, Adderall, do you think any of those should be banned?
Oh, I don't think they should be banned.
What?
No.
No.
What?
There's
People
legitimate
getting
medical,
addicted to them and dying
but
from
there's
them.
legitimate medical use.
Well,
of
but
it.
there'll be exceptions to those. But we have an opioid
Well,
epidemic.
they're already
The problem
like
is
you
not,
already have to be
the problem's
prescribed.
not so much the drug themselves. The problem's not so much the drug themselves. It's the shady business at which they're being,
yeah,
they're
how
being
they're given to
distributed.
people. Yeah, that's
It's
true.
how it's happening. Like no, it's the medical companies and the shady doctors that are over prescribing these things at record amounts. It's the people that are over prescribe, the doctors that are over prescribing these patients for stuff that they might not even need in the first place. That's the problem.
I tend to agree. At the same time, though, would any of you ever take opioids?
Oh yeah, if after I got
I
hit
would
by a car,
never
I would
take it.
absolutely have taken one, but they didn't give me any opioids.
I would never do it. I think it's, because I don't know enough about it, and I'm afraid, the dosage they give or whatever. I don't know what's in these pills. I really don't know what they're putting. I don't know how much it would take to get addicted to it, because as we can see, it's becoming a terrible epidemic, and I don't I think they should be banned. But obviously, except for the medical reasons, where it's at small amounts.
You cannot buy opioids at the store. You can't be like, "Hey doc, I just want some OxyContin every day. Just give me some of that."
No, but through pill mills, that's how a lot of these people are getting stuck on them.
Those are not legal, and Trump's been cracking down on
the
them.
pill mills.
But no, they put loopholes in laws that allows them to stay open.
Is, when I got hit by a car, because of all these anti-opioid laws, I could not get actual what I needed.
Usually what you just need, because this is what they gave me for when I was some teeth, was I call them super ibuprofens, where it's a higher dosage, but it's of your regular Motrin or Tylenol or something, but it's way safer and it gets rid of the pain. I don't see any problem with that.
No, you haven't been hit by a car either.
No, I was hit by a tow truck.
Oh yeah, you were not physically hit by a car.
I know, but I just don't. I don't know. I don't know a lot. I'm gonna sound like Sam Richards, but I don't know a lot of answers to a lot of these things. But I still think that you gotta draw a line somewhere, and you gotta take some more extreme actions, or else this stuff's just gonna get worse.
It's like the most first world problem out there. It's like
first world problem.
People are vaping. Oh no.
But I'm talking about opioids though.
Oh, the opioids. Yeah.
That's a really bad problem.
Well, yeah, the real problem is we're letting China send fentanyl over
that
here.
too, yeah.
That's the biggest problem. And the pill mills are also a huge problem.
Should fentanyl stay legal, or should that be banned?
Fentanyl's not legal.
I think they need to. I think they need to get tougher on these doctors.
I agree.
Fentanyl is not legal. Like if you're prescribed fentanyl, it's
should it stay illegal?
Well, I'm not suggesting that
No, I know you're not, but I'm just saying, as a thought experiment about what we legalize and what we don't, should stay illegal. Is that a good thing? Does that actually stop it?
Well,
or would it be making it legal be better? I don't know. I'm just asking.
I don't think making it making it legal for over-the-counter purposes, I don't think that would be necessarily a good idea. We already have schedules in place, and I think fentanyl is fine for that. Now, if you wanted in my sort of ideal future, I think if you have been screened by a doctor and you want to go and take recreational drugs, yeah, I think that would be fine. If you're already pre-screened, they actually monitor you for that, and you got the money for it, and you're not pregnant or anything, go for it.
Last thing I want to touch on, because we have a few seconds left here. I was in Social 119, again, Sam Richards' famous sociology class on race relations, and I learned a new phrase, new PC, new SJW phrase, because they were discussing white privilege, and they were going after this one guy, because he said one of the girls that was defending the idea of white privilege says it exists, and he was kind of starting to question it a bit, and she was getting kind of emotional, let's say, with him, and he went, "Oh, you're acting aggressive. I think you guys are kind of being a bit aggressive." And she said that he was tone policing her. What is tone policing? And why? That is one of the stupidest terms I've ever heard. Because if you call somebody out for being disrespectful and saying, "Hey, we're just having a discussion here, let's be a bit more respectful, not so emotional," it's tone policing. Isn't that what Hillary kept doing to Trump, was saying, "I don't like Trump's tone"? Isn't she tone policing there?
Yeah, I guess it's like when you have bad tone or something, like when you don't sound nice to them.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually met with Sam Richards actually on this week on Wednesday. Interesting guy. I don't think he's as liberal as people think he is. I think he's technically registered libertarian.
Oh God.
Which
How is he libertarian?
well, because I think what he said to me was that he kind of, even though it sounds like he believes in some liberal things, he says he reads a lot of libertarian stuff to kind of keep himself in check and see the other side. But I think he's also he's kind of like, pro freedom in some ways, but not in others. So I don't know.
What does he want to like? What does he want to take away your freedom with?
Sounds like he explained this to me. Like, if he thinks something's bad in society or he doesn't like something, he would quickly write laws just banning it. In his ideal words, like, yeah, let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Let's do this. Let's do that.
That sounds a lot like you.
I know. And I'm not a liberal, though. And I'm not registered libertarian. I'm registered Republican.
But yeah, like, see, that's the same philosophy. That's,
But I think depending on how far you go, I don't think it's a bad thing at all.
He wants to ban the things that, you don't like, and that's why you don't like
Not
them.
necessarily. I think he's probably, I'm guessing, I could be wrong, I think he's pro-drug legalization. I'm not.
I know, he just wants to ban certain things that you don't like and then allow certain
Well, doesn't
things
everyone?
Well, yeah, but there's a philosophy behind it.
I know. Well, let's look at gay marriage, for example. That was illegal for the longest time, but hey, I believe it should be legal.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, like, at some point, there has to be a philosophical argument,
My philosophical argument is pretty much around pragmatism and the effects whatever you're making legal or illegal has on other people. I don't think that's radical at all.
What is the purpose of marriage?
Some would say
to legally screw over a dude for the rest of his life.
Or
there we go.
Yeah. I mean, there's a certain, a little bit cynical, but I mean, there's a certain aspect of that I could understand. But like,
I think the purpose of marriage is just, I mean, I don't know the legal definition or whatever. In my view, it's just to create a bond with somebody you love. Some would say it's to have kids, to have a family,
to create a family support structure, because like you could keep just abstracting marriage from what it was originally intended for, and you get people marrying cars and like adult robots and stuff like that. And that's,
but what's wrong with, let's say, a man marrying another man? What's wrong with that? What's the negative societal effects, and why should we care?
Well, what I'm saying is, like, what is the point of marriage if it's just for two different, like, it's usually for man and woman, mostly to go and create a familial structure. When you have like two masculines, you can make an argument that that's not really familial structure.
I definitely see that, because I think, like, I think a more interesting debate is whether gays should be allowed to adopt. Well, that I think is more interesting. I think gay marriage should be just like, who cares?
Well, what's stopping like two dudes from just getting married, not even being gay, and just using it for tax benefits?
Honestly, fine.
Well,
really don't care.
Yeah, that kind of defeats the purpose.
Because everybody looks for tax benefits.
Yeah, I think that legally, like legally, I think if a dude wants to have a civil union with another dude, hey, go for it. But like, I always felt like marriage was like more of a religious term. So I would be like, okay, well, why don't we just call all marriages, like as far as the government goes, just call all marriages civil unions.
Yeah.
And then if you want to call it a marriage, then you can do that. And then if two dudes want to call it whatever they want, they can go ahead and do that. I'm all for that idea. Because one of the things that, like, because marriage is kind of it's more so like a religious thing. Like it has a religious background to it. But
yeah.
It's legally you're tying yourself to somebody. Supposedly, well, I would say forever, but we know that that's not true.
Usually,
but what if you're not religious and you want to get married?
Marriage was made to benefit legally. You get the tax benefits so that you could have, the woman not have to work.
Yeah, but that's not practical in today's world.
Well, if you look at like
dump that. Nothing happened there. Should play the please clap now.
There's that one up.
Yay, anyway, marriage. So, marriage. I think, Phil, you were saying something?
I think like that should just be, you know, they should all be civil unions. It's not like, I mean, if you, I don't know, like, because I think the fact that they called it marriage was more of a issue than the actual, like, the joining of civil unions itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because a lot of it was a church thing. Like, churches were getting mad at that. Like, and I mean, like, just don't call it a marriage. Call it a civil union. Call all of them a civil union. And then if you want to decree it to the church or whatever, then go for it. But I mean, I don't.
I think the thing is, like, no offense, like, I get your logic, but I don't think most people like have any emotional attachment to the word civil union, so it's not gonna.
There is a difference between a dude marrying a dude and a dude marrying a woman.
I agree,
and I believe there.
But
should
nobody's
be
gonna be like,
terms.
I want to get into a civil union with them. Like,
Well, they can
everybody
make,
wants
the
marriage,
gay
They don't have
community
to
can
call
make
it a
their own
civil
term.
union.
They can make up some other term.
but they don't.
They don't
but
have.
but see, but if you're doing like, okay, look at it this way, they don't. I'm trying to look at it from their perspective. Is what I'm doing. They don't see it as I don't want. It's hard to work. Yeah, we don't want to run into that issue again. Again, I'm trying to look at it from the gay people's perspective. I think they want to be. God, it's so hard to word. I don't want to say they won't be seen as the same, but it's like you're doing almost all of it the same way, and to call it something different, I just don't think that's something they'd like.
The masculine. There's a difference between the masculine and the feminine, and then just too masculine.
I agree. Yeah.
Like, a man can try to be feminine, but it's not the same as a feminine being a feminine. It's like the same reason. You know, it's just different. It's ingrained different. People
I
are
totally
different.
agree.
Men
totally
and women
agree.
are different. Now, sure, gay men have brains more similar to females, but still, it's not the same. You know, and like the whole purpose of marriage, you know, the reason why there's tax breaks and stuff is to enable women to be able to go and like work from home without like completely detrimenting the man. Like, that's why, like, if you go and look at, if you have a, that's why you combine your taxes. Cause usually the man, you know, he'll work and then the wife, you know, stays home, or she'll work a job that doesn't make as much money as the man. And that's what the current tax structure is meant there to protect. That's why, like, if you look at it, you know, if you're married, filed jointly, like you can go and like you both put your incomes together, and you basically get double the stuff. So like, let's say you made 60, like you make $100,000. If you're an individual making $100,000, you're not going to be getting that much. You'll be getting a very high tax rate. But if your whole family's making, you know, if you're married, filing jointly, making $100,000, you're actually probably gonna get like closer to middle class tax rate. So that makes sense. You know, it allows that familial unit to function optimally.
I have another question then. Let's say you marry a woman and you don't want to have kids. Does that, in your definition, does that count as marriage?
Well, I mean, yeah, it is a unit. It is a masculine, feminine unit. You know, I mean, if you don't want to have kids, you kind of, what is the purpose of marriage?
Like I said, I think,
like, if you don't have the religious
it's just sort
ceremony,
of
you should be able to do that.
it creates. I personally think, again, this is gonna sound wrong because obviously this hasn't been applied. This hasn't happened to everyone, but it to me the point of it is create a sort of a lasting locking bond. It should, not saying it does, but should create a lasting locking bond between you and your partner. You sort of, that's like your commitment. That's when you fully commit to it and you're saying, all right, we're sticking in this together forever. Obviously, people don't do that because they file for divorce or they cheat on their spouses, that stuff. But I think it's more of a, I don't want to say symbolic because it's not really symbolic, but you know what I mean.
Ideally, they will be wanting to have kids. If they don't, that's fine. If you don't want to have kids, we should at least have the capability to attempt to create kids. Now, like, see if you had some sort of medical thing wrong with you and you can't have kids, I think you should still be allowed to get married. But like, and then you can always have a different term for it. But I don't know if it makes sense for the same tax benefits to apply, because it is a net benefit for society to have parents produce children. Children are a net benefit on society.
Nah.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, what if? Well, I can't say that because I've known parents. I've known so many
married.
Yeah.
Because it's not single parents. That should be.
Yeah, that's terrible.
And married parents are, they have a significant net contribution to society, and that's why they should be encouraged. Because if you don't encourage marriage, then they're just like, oh, we'll just have kids anyways out of wedlock, and that is terrible for a society if you look at statistics.
Yeah. So
you want to encourage married people to have kids. And that's why marriage is, that's why they have benefits to it, because they want it. The government wants to encourage that because it's a good on society. And it's, when you have gay marriage, it doesn't produce the same effect.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't think letting gays marry devalues marriage at all.
Well, I mean,
I understand that it can maybe change the definition a bit, but I don't think it's really devaluing
it. Kind of takes away the purpose.
Straight marriage is still the same thing.
Well, the purpose of marriage is to create, a positive home environment that creates children that are, going to have a higher chance to be more successful adults and help the economy. Because single parent households tend to not do that. Mm-hmm. Based on statistics.
Mm-hmm. I know. I totally agree. You need to decentivize single parenthood, obviously.
And the only way for them not to be single parenthood is basically to get married. Because then they're if you have a child from a married family, it tends to be significantly better outcomes.
Oh yeah, totally.
And that's why there was an incentive for people to get married, because if they don't get married and they have children, it's generally poor outcomes.
Well, actually, since we're going over on time a bit, what do we? This is why I don't give you toys. What do we think of PewDiePie saying he's going to donate $50,000 to the ADL and then pulling out?
I thought it was.
He has good pull-out game or not?
I think he was being. I don't know. I feel like this could have been planned.
Well, keep in mind the ADL's already called him anti-Semitic, and I would think he'd already know about this.
Oh man, yeah, I think he was probably, because you look at that picture and his he's like, I'm not giving you that money now.
But why did he want to pledge it to begin with?
Get people to pay attention, maybe.
No, but he's already got so many people paying attention to him.
Oh no, I think after he lost to he hasn't really been in the news lately, and this was everyone was hearing about this and everyone was flipping out. So he got in the news again.
But for bad reasons.
It's not for bad reason. He was wanting to donate to...
Well, people were going, he's a traitor. He's totally, throwing away his values. Because he said in his original statement, this isn't my fight anymore. And it's are you selling out? Are you copping out? It doesn't... I mean, it's sending a bad signal. And I don't think people can trust him after this, personally. I think there's a lot of people who don't trust him anymore.
PewDiePie. He'll be doing fine.
Oh, I know he will but he's hurting his brand.
He's not on the side. He needed to do a PR stunt, and I think this was a fine PR stunt because people were paying attention to him. We're talking about PewDiePie, whereas we wouldn't be talking about him unless he, did some other stupid thing
Yeah, but you're not talking about him in
There's no such thing as bad publicity unless you invite Richard Spencer to speak.
Oh, okay.
Did he get married recently though?
He did.
See, that's why you don't get married,
Exhibit
Argument
A.
against marriage.
Yes. I think it was a bad move on his part, personally. I just think it was stupid. Because now he doesn't look loyal and trustworthy in the eyes of his fans. I think he's breaking that trust. They trusted somebody that's not going to bow to this. It's not going to, pander to these people or pay them off, and that's literally what he was about to do.
I think
it looks so bad.
I think one of his like overlords was like, "Oh, you need to donate to the ADL," so I think it's basically like a blackmail payment.
I think it was. I honestly do think so.
They're like, "Okay, ADL, you stop making calling me a racist. I'll pay you, $50,000." And they're like, "Ooh."
But I think he shouldn't have cared. I think he shouldn't have done that.
Well, I think he's kind of backed into a corner. Maybe they said they're going to release a new article and get him kicked off of YouTube. And maybe they will.
It's hard to kick PewDiePie off of YouTube.
I know, but we live in cancel culture.
We do.
It's not impossible. Like, you can get kicked off of anything. Anyone can get kicked off of anything in this world.
Yeah.
You're never safe anymore.
Well, because we were talking about Dave Chappelle a few weeks ago. Do you guys think Dave Chappelle can be canceled?
Yeah. Oh yeah, anyone can. They could cancel Donald Trump if they really wanted to off of Twitter.
They tried. It's failed. I don't think you can cancel Trump. I don't think you can. He has too much money, too much power, and too many followers. I don't think you can do it.
They
Well, the
wouldn't do
problem
it because of
You're
how
not
much...
going to be able. If you're funny, if you're funny as a stand-up comedian, there's only so much they could do to you. Like look at Louis C.K. He's touring right now.
Well, they can kick him off, but I mean
They can,
but can they
they're not gonna
cancel
stop
him?
They're not going to stop him making money. They're not going to do it. They can't do it because he's funny. He's legitimately funny. Like, I mean, obviously, if you're untalented, they could cancel you. But let's be real. If you're
So we can
untalented,
cancel
you
Amy
should do it.
Schumer?
Yeah. I mean, if you're untalented, you should be in the entertainment industry anyway. So you're actually doing all of us a favor.
Well, see,
in that regard.
There's a difference because, like, if you're a comedian, it's one thing, but like, Felix, Mr. PewDiePie, he was based on YouTube, and they don't really have any other competing video platforms. He's not going to be able to get on like a Netflix show. People wouldn't watch that.
No, they would.
No,
Totally.
No, not his content. It would not translate to real television very well.
Oh yeah. No, I do agree with that. Yeah.
And so, like, if he loses YouTube, he's done. Realistically,
He could do Twitch.
They're probably gonna ban him there. They ban him off of YouTube. They'll ban you on Twitch at the drop of the hat.
Well, I think he has a strong enough following that if he moved to an alt platform, he could probably be one of the few people that could pull people to a competitor.
I thought he is like on DLive or something.
I don't know. But as long as he's still on YouTube, everybody's going to stay on YouTube. He's going to lose people when he moves. But what I'm saying is he has such a powerful fan base that he has the better chance of surviving.
He will probably survive for like a year or two, but his money will just significantly drop.
Does he need it, though? I don't think he does.
I mean, he probably doesn't need it, but it's probably nice.
Oh, yeah.
Like, his lifestyle probably depends. At least showing on that. Yeah.
But I think, though, that a lot of people aren't safe, though, with cancel culture for sure. But I think they're, like Phil was saying, if you're funny, people are still going to tune into you. But people can make it harder.
He's not a stand-up comedian. Like, if
he's not.
If Chappelle got canceled on YouTube, you could go and, like, still make Netflix specials. He'd be fine. But, like, if a YouTuber, Mr. Medic or like Sargon Vakad, they got canceled for. Well, Mr. Medic's already kind of been canceled, so he's a separate case.
And I think the other thing too is people like Chappelle carry more weight because they make more money than, let's say, a Sargon. The Sargon's got like what, 1 million subscribers. Chappelle has millions and millions and millions of people that tune into his Netflix special, and he's touring around the country, and millions of people are buying tickets and paying him a lot of money. So he's got a lot heavier load there.
Oh yeah, like it definitely matters more for like Chappelle, because he actually gets like real money. A subscriber, they don't pay you much. You don't really pay anything for the vast majority of them. You just watch. Some people might go and pay you like a donation or something a month, but like
super chat.
Nothing. But so like one, so Chappelle fan pays significantly more than like a PewDiePie fan.
Yeah. And that's where I think, because money buys you independence, you need that. And that's where, like, Louis C.K. is a good example where, Louis C.K. is not as mainstream maybe as he used to be, but he can easily come back. If he gets a gig somewhere, like, where he puts his specials out, that's where he can overcome it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I do think at some point that if you do something egregious enough, you can be canceled. Like even like Louis C.K. or
You'd have to do
Chappelle.
something really bad. Like let's say if Chappelle
Like if
raped somebody.
Yeah, the Me Too stuff. If there was like an actual like serious sexual thing,
Mm.
like what happened with Louis C.K., which was weird, but it wasn't really. He didn't like.
He has wiggle room out of that.
Yeah, like he didn't do anything like really egregious, like Harvey Weinstein stuff. You do
Yeah.
something like that, and
See, that's a case where Harvey is super wealthy, has so much power, but he doesn't have talent that people will like tune into, like comedy or something like that. So he doesn't have, let's say, a redeemable trait, and on top of that, he did something that's so irredeemable that he can't come back. Like he just can't.
well, rightfully so. Well,
Yeah, I know.
Well, to be fair, we haven't seen how many. Like this has just been like a year after.
That's
that.
true, but he's gonna get put in prison.
Hopefully. Well, to be fair, look at what happened with Epstein.
OJ or Epstein.
Like Epstein, he went to prison for sexual misdeeds, and he went back into mainstream. They just accepted him.
Well, that's also because his stuff was kept a little more quiet, and they didn't have.
They knew he was a sex offender.
Yeah, but they didn't have all these women, all these charges like they did now. It was like a little, like back then it was kind of more like a slap on the wrist. Now it's like, no, you're done.
He did prison time for that.
He did, but it was like nothing.
I know, but like still, he did do some bad.
And he's
boy
not a
stuff.
celebrity too. That requires a fan base. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah, that's true. It's
That's
crazy.
what I'm saying. It depends who you are and what you are, how much money you have, how much fan. Like it's a lot of factors. That's what I'm saying is interesting about the whole cancel culture thing. So we're talking about that in Sam's class, and I posted a discussion question on like how social media has affected it. I think that's because wouldn't we agree that people could get canceled in the back in the day. Like let's say let me think of an example. Like I guess OJ you could say was canceled.
Or he went. Yeah, I mean, if you do something like murder someone, yeah,
you kind
could
of
always
are
kinda
done.
get canceled.
But that
for
was before social media. That was just with TV.
Well,
And
yeah.
we still kind of, the society said, yeah, you're not playing sports again.
Well, look at
But
him
now
now.
we can, like with social media, just everybody can just bring up stuff, berate somebody, take them down, and then other forces can now sort of pour fuel on this fire, because these social movements like Me Too are somewhat organic but also somewhat manufactured and somewhat controlled.
Oh yeah, I think there's a lot of manufacturing in there.
Yeah, because look, they probably started from some honest intentions, like a journalist or people
Look at
started
Harvey
saying stuff,
Weinstein,
but then some big people that hated Harvey probably went hard on it, pushed it, and got something. I'm not saying this would happen, but I'm just speculating, guessing stuff, spitballing in my opinion here. And that's what people need to understand is like things are more controlled than we realize.
Yeah, who was that? Yeah, who's that guy who has been Me Too? Yeah, was it Rob Schneider?
I don't know.
Who
Was he the foot guy?
Yeah, the foot guy.
Not a podiatrist, an actual foot
Yeah, he had
lover.
yeah, dude, I had to show you a funny meme of that. But I think it was Rob Schneider, or maybe it wasn't him. No, it wasn't Rob Schneider. That was the dude from Deuce Bigalow.
Mhm.
It was the other Schneider guy who was like on iCarly and stuff.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
How has he not been Me Too'd? Like,
Maybe-
there's so much evidence on, like, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to be sued, but look into that. Like, they had that whole thing where it was like the iCarly theme song, like, mixed in with like all the stuff that he did supposedly, allegedly,
really?
to people. Like, there was that one like hot like person who got like knocked up at like 16, and it's like, oh, who's really the daddy of this person? And they like,
Well, at the same time, look at how long R. Kelly got away with his stuff.
yeah, like they've
And
known
he would
about
talk
that
about it
for
so openly,
years.
yeah. And he got away with it for years.
Well, see, no wonder like Hollywood types hate men, because they're surrounded by all these disgusting men who like abuse women and girls and little boys.
Well, that's where feminists are born. Is they have a bad experience with a man, then they go, because I've known people that are like this. I've seen it, and then they'll generalize all men that way. And I'm like, well, that's not fair.
I
You're
guess-
stereotyping.
Well, it's like if you get bit by a dog. If you go out and you're a kid and you get bit by a dog. A lot of these people, they'll be scarred for life. They'll always be afraid of dogs unless they take like serious like therapy on that. And I think a lot of feminists are like that. You know, they'll be like sexually assaulted, or you know, they have a bad experience with like a overly masculine man, or whatever case may be, and then they'll have this negative stereotype.
Now I'll talk about one more thing, because we've been talking about this. Interesting question about, you know, how do women stop this in a way? What should they do?
Stop what?
Stop men from, like, you know, being, you know, sexually harassing them or making any sexual advances on them. How do they stop this effectively?
Well, they, you know, we have, you know, report them. You know, if they're doing something like, you know, tell them to stop. This isn't fun. They do it again, report them. Depending on what they do, like, you know, if someone like grabs you like unwanted, then you need to just go and, like, you know, slap them, and then, you know, call the police.
Here's an interesting thought can get us in trouble. You know, I think every guy will admit this. It is different when, let's say, an old man starts grabbing a girl inappropriately than when a woman starts grabbing a man. Would we agree there's a difference?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Should they be, if these things happen to a man and a woman, should those crimes have different consequences?
No. No.
I don't think so.
If you get sexually harassed, like, yeah, that happened to me before. I was, remember one time I was at the store and
You've been Me Too'd?
I had this like old woman like squeeze my butt. I'm not even joking. I was at like a Giant, and I told my girlfriend. She called me like a sissy.
Really?
Yeah, it was not my current girl. It was an ex-girlfriend.
Oh.
But yeah, I was made fun of. Like, I was belittled. You know.
Wow,
you know,
that's sexism.
She's like, oh, she was probably, you know, mistook. He was like, nah, there was a firm squeeze there.
A firm squeeze.
Yeah, but like.
Were you Me Too'd?
Well, you know, it's the opposite. You know, no one cares about man. You know, if they get
See what I'm saying? Even society has a different standard for it, even if they don't admit it.
Oh yeah, like look how many women's shelters there are, and look how many men's.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair though, it's more of a problem among women.
Well, are we sure about that?
Probably.
And let's be real. There's definitely a power. There's like a size and a power element too.
Oh, absolutely.
If a woman sexually harasses me, it's like it's more cute and it's more like it's more playful, I guess. But there's not that doesn't scare me at all. Like if they try to do something crazy, I'm just like, okay, get out of my way.
Oh yeah, but see, then the woman, they have ways to psychologically manipulate you. Say, oh, well, if you don't, you know, do this, you know, insert here, I will report you for, you know, sexually harassing me.
Yeah,
and
but
then,
it's different.
That's scary.
It's different because there's a physical fear. Like if women there's a physical, like the fear of a man overpowering her, and then having his way with her, and then shoving something inside her, and then just like, you know, there's that physical. Yeah, I mean, that element of fear there that is not there.
And there's also different damages. You know, when a guy gets touched the wrong way, he's not going to be emotionally devastated and traumatized. But when it happens to a girl, the sad reality is that they get just emotionally distraught, traumatized, and it's more damaging to them.
That's part of that. I mean, really, that's part of that fear, power, control element there. Like that's what makes it scary for women, really.
Well, see, women can still have, you know, like let's say your boss is a woman. You know, they can do like, you know, that would be really uncomfortable if they were like, you know, because they could do some really nasty stuff, and then, you know, you would feel so ashamed if you, like, you know, generally a man would feel ashamed of like even reporting that or even talking about that because no one would believe them. You know, I think they had like an episode of King of the Hill about this, and it's, you know, I love that show because there's so many, you know,
Red
stuff
pills.
you could apply to common day, and that would be one of them. Like, where I think Hank gets like sexually assaulted by a female police officer, and like Peggy makes fun of him. And that was the thing. It shows, like, you know, it can happen to men. Like, sure, you know, you won't find like a man getting overpowered in most cases by a woman, but they can still be, you know, victimized.
I always think that's interesting to talk about because we all like to think, like, or at least the left does, men and women can be equal, can be the same. But the reality is that, just by nature, we are different people.
Yeah, man. But I do think there is, yeah, sure. Like you can't be, generally, I mean, there's obviously some cases over here where people can be overpowered, like if the man's disabled, especially. But it's, definitely different. But I think it can happen, and a lot of times people don't pay attention if a man gets victimized or abused by a woman. Because I think that's like another way. Some women can abuse men because like of that expectation, where if you get abused as a man, society makes you out to be a lesser man. Like, how bad that would feel. Being abused as a man is just like, who you're gonna say, oh, like this woman abused you, like that. That's sort of like the mentality. And women, they're smart. They can do a lot of. Honestly, like women can be very good at manipulating war.
Oh, Trojan War. I said something else.
No, the Trojan War. With Troy and who was in there? The Trojan horse.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about now.
It was all over like Helen of Troy, like being Helen of Troy and deciding to find another man because of some, I don't know. It was probably fake, but it was a good story nonetheless. But that's definitely something. I don't know what was going on about that, but
yeah, sir. If you called in, you can call back in again. We'll talk off air, and then we can put you live if you want. I gave a disclaimer beforehand that if you call in, we'll put you on. So, if you'd like to come back on, please do. We can talk things out.
Yeah, what time?
I'll wait a few more minutes. So if you are interested, just again call on the line. We can just talk to you.
We should have a Q&A too.
Yeah,
like
that'd be cool.
If anybody wants to contact us with like a question or something like that, we
could be not even related to this. Could be just some random stuff. Like how's the weather over there? Eat anything spicy today? We went out to that Five Guys place.
We did go to Five Guys. Yeah, a nice little burger.
Yeah, it was crazy. They're getting expensive. They're getting ridiculously expensive. Like I remember when it was $5 for a Five Guys burger. That's why it was called Five Guys, I think. $5, Five Guys.
Now it's Seven Guys.
No, not really. But yeah, it's $7.25 I think for just a plain hamburger, and like $8 for like a cheeseburger, and like almost $9 for a bacon cheeseburger. Like, they're good burgers, but like that's a little bit much. That's a lot. Like, for a decent burger, I think $5 was a good price point. It's like Subway now. You've been to Subway recently? It's like
I have actually a few months ago.
Yeah, you get like it's no longer a $5 foot long. It's like $6 6-inch sub and a drink. And that's ridiculous. And it's not like the food's that expensive, like to get it now. And maybe it's because of the minimum wage hikes.
Could be. Actually, could be.
I'm thinking that's probably, mostly what it's from, because there's no reason why it should be that expensive.
Thank you for listening. We'll be back next week with more real news.